For within the Palace Royal, its monarch, Prince Namor I, lies ill.
Who are you?
But my enemies call me Namor.
That Namor, I would say he obviously was given that name also by someone in the film.
El niño sin amor. Por eso le dicen Namor.
¿En serio?
El niño que creció sin amor.
Translation, Namor now means a boy who grew up without love.
Prince Namor I.
For Namor, the Submariner is back.
Prince Namor I.
But my enemies call me Namor.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Well, greetings and salutations, my friends. I didn't have it in me to do editing, download, upload even. I just let me just tell you how I feel. So I am so happy to say I'm not going to be alone in my pain and suffering, I think. With me is one of my members. Hail, my brother from another mother. It's Joker Voice, my friend. Now, listen, I want to be completely clear to everyone. I have not watched anyone's reviews. So I know a lot of stuff just because you really can't say insulated from something this big. No. So I kind of get a feel that I am definitely not going to be alone. I only watched a little bit of Mexican Iron Man's rant. I have seen pieces of things, but I do not know what everyone else said. So I try to be... You're getting my take, not a derivative of everyone else's take. So even your review I've not watched. So let me run through a little bit of it, and then you can we'll pick up some pieces along the way.
Gotcha.
My big take on it right now is I don't know who Marvel did not treat badly in the handling of this. So I really thought this was one, not that they would right the ship, they would try to cash in. So, for instance, one of the philosophies in Hollywood always was, well, you make this popcorn movie because all the money that's made from it pays for all this other crap that we know no one's going to want to go see. And I really thought Black Panther is the one that they're going to try to right the ship to make a lot of money. And then when the Namor came out, I was like, nope. That's not it. And I am not a fan. So obviously people have seen them. I've done one video, I've done a couple videos of, good read, must read, don't read comic books, right? I did Punisher, did Wolverine, I did Namor, and I'm not a Namor fan. I've not been a big reader. I've gone back, I've reread some stuff. I try to recommend. I had a great comment from Sequential Treasures. James says, hey, what about this? I'm like, that's a good point. I haven't reread it, so I don't want to speak too much on it. So Stephen Ransom is always going to come in here. First off, let me say, hail to Stephen Ransom, my friend. He is the one who did that little photo for me from my last stream, which just ended. There was a card break, Indiana Jones. I said, look at this picture. This is a great picture for a thumbnail. Next thing I know, bro throws it down, and next thing you know, we've got that. So thank you, my friend. Thank you for hopping.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And speaking of cards, Pops.
Oh, the Tron pack. There we go.
Nice. So I've just kept him in here. I'm just going to leave him in.
No, hey, there was no rules. That was the thing. It's like I'm just sharing some stuff, just going through some things. And it was great to be able to share that with some folks. Joker, they not only opened their cards. First, it was Padawannabe. He opened his pack of Return of the Jedi cards and chewed the gum. I kid you not.
Oh, Ironcaster cheated a little bit.
Well, yeah, he did. So Ironcaster felt the peer pressure, so he followed suit by opening his Indiana Jones pack. He threw the gum in, but I'm with you, Steven. He also then chased it. As we all know, if you pay enough attention to Ironcaster, there's always a Taco Bell packet around somewhere.
Yeah.
He threw down a Diablo sauce. So it really was all Diablo sauce. He didn't get the full effect, right, Steven?
That's not for gum. The acids in that tomato sauce would probably degrade whatever the gum is actually made out of. It would completely change the texture of it.
I would think, for as long as these have been around, that's probably sounds like you're going to be tasting a piece of a cereal box.
Well, you just don't taste much of anything. It's basically, so Padawannabe says, if you've ever had those, there's child aspirin that are chalky, one of those. That's what it tastes like. There's just really nothing really to it. It's just All right, Steve. So I don't know if you've seen the movie or not.
I've seen a bunch of reviews, and I'm familiar enough with the current existence of the property. I have plenty to say with just a surface level understanding of the movie. So
since I've tried to avoid stuff, I think it's only fair that since you guys are with me, we'll compartmentalize it. And my first was confession of not being a big fan of obviously Namor.
Mhm.
And I'm really not a big fan of Black Panther. When I did this video and I committed to doing my good must don't read, I don't have much because I got to be honest. Even the stuff that's the OG stuff that was done by Stan and Jack Kirby, I'm more in awe of Jack Kirby's
60s,
art.
right?
Yeah,
in the 60s, right?
Yeah, he started in Fantastic Four. Then there's like Tales of Suspense, and it's kind of one of these things where I don't want to say it's racist, but it is sort of like just playing on this generic African tropes of stuff with their creation of Wakanda in the comic books, and this because a lot of things are just mentioned, but then it's just never really explained or talked about. Like Stan just threw stuff out there, and it just kind of hangs out there. And
because I heard that which came first, because within a month, I don't know which was announced first. Either the first Black Panther comic premiered, or the Black Panther Party officially announced itself, and those happened like within a month of each other. So, really, which came first?
Probably the Party, because he had a prototype Panther that showed up in a different issue when it was still timely. It wasn't Marvel yet. And I think the reprints of that have them red instead of black, so it looks different. So it's trying to throw you off the scent a little bit.
Okay.
But I've reread most of those, and I am going to recommend the Masterworks for people to read, because at least if you want the OG stuff, at least it's all in one collected book. It's called the Masterworks, and it's not expensive. Less than $20 out the door probably is a norm on eBay even. But I'm just not a big fan. I just can't. I can't get into it any more now than I can then. I know there's more stuff I haven't reread. I have not read everything. A lot of this stuff in the last 20. I try to read the new one, and I'm just bored out of my mind. It's like it's just not the same as when I grew up, and it's hard. So, and with this movie, I've rewatched Black Panther, and I don't feel any different. Actually, I feel less. I enjoy it even less than I did before. It's just a generic superhero origin film. He's barely the main character in his own film.
Mm-hmm.
The isolationism, the tribal hierarchy of deciding kingship is just dumb. I just have a hard time. So
okay, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know about you guys. I just have a hard time with the concept of they want it both ways. They want to seem like this primitive African tribe, and then they also want this high-tech they're smarter and more noble than everyone else. And the two don't really go well together, do they?
Well, they can, but certainly not in the ways that I've heard about think Joker Voice, have you seen the film?
Yes, I actually did a review the other day.
Okay.
I think I went to a matinee show, thank God, and I went with a friend who paid, so I didn't pay to go see it.
The one thing that I heard was this drum system that they used to open up the shields. I was like, what, for real? I mean, that's almost something that you would think Mel Brooks would write in a spoof.
Well, it also kind of looks like a DJ table. It is really cheesy looking. It's like
it's insulting. Black Panther. If
yes, it is.
If Malcolm X was alive, he would just be vomiting all over the audience.
He would be telling them not to go. He would be telling them not to go.
Yeah.
Zombie Box Review is here. So hail you, ZBR. And Abomination AJ, man, listen, I know you haven't seen it, but if you want to come up here and rant too, man, I have in my notes to give AJ credit. He did the Saturday show, and I had to jump out of the Saturday show before they got into the review elements of the film. And then he did a video about it, which I was going to give credit to, because some of the things I think I want to give some credit to him for. He made me think about some things I hadn't thought of.
Okay.
Not really the movie, just the mythos of it all. So AJ,
Gotcha.
the link should be there if you want to join.
And Pops, I'm kind of like you. I mean, you've at least read the stuff. I haven't. I'm a film guy, so that's my knowledge of him. I thought in Civil War, he was amazing in Civil War.
Right.
And his solo film, I thought was a mid-tier Marvel film. It's not good. It's not horrible. The CGI in the third act was god awful. And
yeah. So here's my thing. I'm calling my, if I had to have, I call my thing. Marvel has a lot of apologizing to do, and so let me begin with the beginning. So the beginning is, and I'm going to say, listen, you guys are a joke, and if you're trying to convince me this is about representation or any sort of helping anyone or representing anyone, you guys are just full of crap. You're just exploiting Chadwick Boseman's death in the first few minutes of this film as Stephen. It is quite literally a self-insert of off-camera dying. They literally talk about it. You don't see a single shot of him until you have a mural on the side of a building. It's all like
they didn't even have the balls to kill him in heroic fashion, doing a heroic thing.
Correct.
How dare they? And how dare they simultaneously celebrate the actor, the man, and the king, and kill him off screen with a cold? You got to be kidding me.
Well, he was killed by an unknown virus of unspecified origin.
So ridiculously meta. It's like, why?
This film is so of the moment that it was filmed.
I felt like this is the Ryan Coogler and the people at Marvel were just using this element of the film, which I thought a lot of people probably have praised this because it is an emotional element that is meant to have a tug at your heartstring. Okay. And Ryan Coogler is good at that. And that's the end of the film. We'll have a little bit more of that too at the end of the film. Right. But that's the trap because it's so hollow, generic. And as you said, Stephen, cowardice to not just put in a dude in a suit who dies in a heroic way, saving Shuri. The irony is the last film had, like, they were supposed to be like wet footprints to the throne that would set up Namor arriving. But there are moments in the comic books where you have constant conflicts and battles and things like that are set up that you could have easily had some sort of element of why there would be conflict. And maybe he fought Namor and maybe he won, but Shuri died, or he saved Shuri. He had to sacrifice himself or something. Some sort of heroic element. Nope, it's all off camera. It's all about emotions. It's all about Shuri. And then they spend, Stephen, 30 minutes of nothing happen other than grief and African stereotypical dancing and ceremonial nonsense that they've made up for Wakanda. Like, this is what they allegedly do. Now, by the way, Joker, I don't know if you remember the first film. Remember how they did those scenes for T'Chaka when he died? Remember those scenes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were no scenes. They didn't do any of that. We didn't have any. We had no funeral for the king. The king that was murdered.
Right.
You totally faked me out, Pops, because I haven't seen Black Panther at all.
Oh, yeah. So there was no scenes.
All I saw was, all the reviews. That's all I've heard about the film. I refuse that, and Captain Marvel, not even on my radar. You don't consider to watch.
So in Black Panther, the follow-up to T'Chaka's murder in Civil War, there's no conversation of any funeral, any honoring, or nothing. Then to make this worse, that's the first 30 minutes, because literally Shuri and Mama Queen, I don't even know her name. I don't even care about her name. Angela Bassett did a great job.
Ramonda.
Yeah, she did a fine job, but I just don't care.
But why is she queen?
Because she dies too.
But why is she queen?
Yeah, just because we don't have a ceremonial combat. We don't do that. We just say she's queen. And then she dies too, and we don't have another dancing ceremonial event again. We just don't do it. Like, we pick and choose when we want to do things, and nothing makes sense. It's like Joker, and that's where I was going, Joker. It's like they pick and choose why Shuri is in charge. It's going to be next in line. They pick and choose the queen. The writers are just making up crap for no reason.
That was my biggest initial complaint when the Queen goes before the UN and they acknowledge her as the sovereign leader of Wakanda. And I'm like, how?
Why? Yeah, why?
You can't. You are obviously not following your own rules that you set in the previous film.
Right.
When the head of state, when the ruler dies by Wakanda law, there's a challenge day. Who did she challenge? Who did she beat?
Right. Or was it assumed?
No, there's no assumption. I mean, that's not how they
operate. Was
operate.
there a husband and wife kind of thing?
No, there's not. And that's the mother. That's not a husband and wife. So Zach is here. Halo Zach. Zach, by the way, there's a link if you want to come up in here. So okay, so let's rewind because in Black Panther, this is actually they spent time on defining all of this for us because it was crucial to the story in the first film. So T'Chaka dies, then there's Mama. Mama doesn't take over as queen. She's the next. She would be the next person. Like you're exactly right, Steve. No. It goes to the boy who has to have his day in the sunshine to be coronated, but they allow the other tribes to submit their own competitor, and they have hand-to-hand combat with T'Challa, and M'Baku does. M'Baku is basically Man-Ape in the comic book, right? This big, giant dude. They worship gorillas, and all the gorilla stereotypes that you were thinking in your head that are inappropriate are exactly what is embodied.
I know.
In
I've
that
seen some of those shots. I'm just like, wow, this is so.
It's weird. So awkward. It's so awkward. Okay, they have a hand-to-hand combat, and T'Challa shows his moral superiority by not sacrificing M'Baku to take the throne. So fast forward, T'Challa dies. Even if he's married, she's not the queen. No. There would be. He doesn't have an heir. Then, okay, well, maybe the queen is the queen temporarily until there's some sort of tribal decision or council. We get none of that.
Nope.
We just skip all of this emotions. And then the UN stuff is all birthed out of the vibranium machine, right? We just have this machine. They find vibranium in the ocean. It's in the Atlantic Ocean. Everybody thinks the Wakandans are the one that have this big conflict because it's the U.S. military. And then she goes before the UN, basically wants to put their heads on spikes and says, no, you guys have to just back off. You guys can't even handle vibranium. So forget about 20 films setting up Thanos and that we needed technology to do anything. No, we're still not worthy. No one's worthy. We can't have it.
Which is weird because they also make it out to seem that Wakanda is the only place that vibranium has ever been used. Mm-hmm. Yet in Captain America, the first Avenger, his shield, as Howard Stark says, is vibranium.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
all right. So let's say hey to Jake.
Forget about Ultron?
Jake's there. Yeah.
Is Ultron even brought up?
No, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the shield either, by the way, which was what Joker's getting at too. It's like the vibranium has been in existence in the MCU since Howard Stark, which dates back literally decades. Right. Captain America. So we're talking about like first Avenger. So, and DVR says he walked out of the theater. It's quote that bad. I watched an hour. Yeah, you didn't. It's so insanely long. So, hail Napops forever. Listen, man, I can't call him anything, but he's Namor. I can't. Yes. Namor. Okay, that's a good point.
I remember Namor.
I would have to look that up. So,
yeah. From John Byrne. John Byrne's Fantastic Four run. He was a noted character because John Byrne was a classic traditionalist.
Yeah, and I did a Namor video, and Sequential Treasures called me out because I didn't even mention John Byrne's series because I didn't reread it. I'm well aware of it. He pointed out a few issues. That comments there, I will probably, because I'm going to have to do volume 2, 3s, or 4s or whatever of these characters. There's content that dates, and Namor was created in 1939 for the love of freaking Pete. And by the way, he is created before Aquaman. For people that didn't know that, by the way, you need to know that. So I don't want to hear that. But there's a huge difference between Namor and Aquaman. So huge. Namor origin is exactly like what we saw in the Aquaman movie, right? Princess gets with the dude, and he's a hybrid, so he can do both. The differences are he didn't like anybody. Screw those white people.
No.
He hates it. He hates it. He hates it. The comic books, he is a villain. He doesn't like it. He finds a hot chick and he kind of like lightens up the mood. It's the 60s and or it's even before that in some cases. And it's like, okay. And then he's mocked because he's white. Like the blue Atlanteans mock him because he's white. He's a white dude. His dad's white.
Yeah, he's half American.
Right.
What's bizarre about this is every time, first of all, the plot of Wakanda Forever and the origin story that I'm familiar with and you're re-uttering at this very moment, I'm getting major flashes of the first Aquaman movie.
Correct. Right.
Because the Submariner character, the black dude with the friggin' Black Manta, I think his name is.
Yep.
It's like, Jinkies, all you got to do is put a cat head on that character, and you're basically watching the same movie. Isn't that correct? I mean,
kind of.
Crazy
there's
global
some elements.
Politics attached to the water, attached to two civilizations. Blah 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 blah.
If they were fighting over a mineral, it would we could probably close that loop even faster. But yeah, it's like, but even like the people even pointed out like the wings on the feet, because obviously that is in the comic book. There's literally an element in the comic books. I just reread all of these. And it's the character's like, why is this happening? Why are these showing up? And they're asking him. He's like, I don't know. I don't know why this is happening. And then it's like, oh my gosh, you can fly. I didn't know I could fly. It's like, there's actually like Stan Lee needed to come up with a reason dude can fly, and then like made the character like metamorphosize and like, I don't know why I'm flying. Like the concept of mutant didn't even come into the conversation until later, but at least there was a way to discuss it. It's not. Nothing translates to film because all of it just looks like a hodgepodge nest thrown on the wall, and we're all supposed to just swallow it. And I hate it. I hate everything. So let me see where my notes are, because I want to make sure I get. So I'm not. Did I rant enough about how much I feel like we exploited Chadwick Boseman's actual death to make money? I literally felt like I've been Jessica Gowd. I literally felt like I've been Jessica Gowd. Like I'm just. You are shamelessly you are shamelessly trolling your audience to make money off of them, off this dude's death. Screw you people. I couldn't handle it. And by the way, this whole idea of representation, or that this was the not the plan or whatever with Shuri. Shuri became Black Panther in 2009. That's when that comic book. I had to go back and look it up to make sure I had my date right. So before we had MCU stuff, long before we had the Black Panther movie, they were already, once Disney had control, and even probably before Disney had control, this crap was happening. They were making every character female. They were making all these changes. I don't want to tell people this was part of the plan.
And Pops, correct me if I'm wrong, but Shuri was Panther temporarily while T'Challa was healing from wounds. He got like really hurt.
Yeah, I want to reread all of that before I speak too much on it, because I didn't reread the Christopher Priest part, and I didn't read that piece of it where I got to be honest, it's unbearable. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. And I got to be honest, I reread my don't read spoiler alert on Black Panther is like when he marries Storm. And it's during Civil War. I hated every aspect of these issues. Like every character felt wrong to me. Like the issue where he marries Storm is just to showcase that she's super hot, because she is. And they draw her as super hot. And all of the characters, which she is. Iron Man and Cap are in the middle of Civil War, but they act like children. Like children. It's so cringy and terrible with them bickering. And then you have 4 issues of Honeymoon, and they literally just are being told, or they're being pulled around the world to have a contrived reason for Namor and Storm to go visit. First Doctor Doom, and then the worst part is they visit Namor in Atlantis. And the cover is them fighting. There is no fight in that comic book. Talk about ripping you off. So even this crap that's going on where you don't feel like the customers were being respected or whatever, it was that bad even in like that era. So it's been hard to revisit Namor and Black Panther lore as the comic book reader who's got to be honest, a lot of those files I probably deleted. I just I don't want to delete. And
Wow.
because of this, I'm going back, and it's been brutal. But I don't want to hear about this being any more than part of the plan. It's been part of the plan all along. It may not have been in movie 2, but it was going to be in movie 3. Whatever.
Right.
So,
at this point, I hope they never bring the Fantastic Four back to screen. At this point.
That is happening. That is happening.
Yeah, it's already in the works.
I know it's going, but I hope it fails. I hope it fails before it ever gets to screen. I hope they drop it. I don't know. I don't know what to say, because they've already destroyed so much of the property. It's like I'm watching somebody's collection of fan fiction get made into films that are loosely based on loosely based fan fiction. It's like, what are we even watching anymore?
Well, I don't want to be a downer than on you, Steven, but I was watching Valiant. I was watching Valiant Renegade on Sunday, and he and WW Pro with Chapek has said that there's a hiring freeze and there's going to be rigorous review and there will be layoffs. They're saying that Marvel is pretty much the most safe place you could be right now because of these big contracts for these big name stars that they've got lined up. So I don't see any changes to Marvel anytime soon.
Yeah, no, you're not going to bum me out. At this point, I'm beyond Star Wars with Marvel because I was only like a comic book fan during the day. And the films did what they did. The Robert Downey Jr. era, and the Chris Evans era, that was pretty much it for me. Endgame, that was great. You guys did a great job. Thank you very much. You took us from A to B to C. You went the full alphabet all the way across. You did a great job. The whole arc worked. There's some clunkers along the way, but you guys did some magic stuff on screen. Everything else that happened after that, it's almost like I'm giggling at my niece's James Bond movie, Yeah. It's
I'm gonna make it worse for you.
I don't care.
I'm going to make it worse for you in just a minute. Let's say hey to Jace Fox here. He's saying, story, CGI, mostly everything was bad. I agree with you a lot here, man. Yeah, I agree. And Brandon Looney Tunes, man, hey there, brother. He's at 901, guys. He's getting that close to that magic thousand. So if you're not subscribed, if you need a break, a nice cartoon, he's rolling these out all the time. And I got to be honest, some of my favorites, Brandon, by the way, are these VHS tapes where it's showing like trailers and stuff from other things. I feel like I'm in that time capsule moment where I can kind of relive those moments. So,
wow.
Mexican Zombie Man. Yeah, oh yeah, bro. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. Disney's Fantastic Four, most likely to be a fantastic reboot. Yeah, we're gonna just it's bad. Castle's here. Hey there, brother. Hope you're doing well, especially after that Florida storm. So it wasn't as we got a lot of wind. The rain wasn't too bad. We got a lot of wind. So so there was a comic book I found. I have not read this series. I'm not familiar with this Infinity series because it's the newer one. It's not the Infinity stuff I grew up with, like Infinity Gauntlet. In Infinity, Namor tells Thanos where to go to destroy Wakanda because he's looking for the gems, right? So they're gems in the comics. They're not Infinity Stones. Anyway, so Namor confesses, and this is a battle that plays out, and it would have been so easy to set that up to even justify these two groups being at odds with each other, or why T'Challa would have had to fight off Namor or something in the wake of the Thanos and the stones and what it literally is in this comic. I didn't even know it existed when I was doing this research. I was like, oh my God, you're making my head. It makes my head hurt even more that they suck this bad.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it when I read it.
I don't understand. I hear people insult the genre of space opera, but at least those guys kept continuity over multiple novels.
They had Bibles
back in the day.
They had a Bible. You would go in as a writer, and I've been loosely part of this world, but I know many people that have talked about it. You get the gig. Guess what? You got homework now. Go home. You got the Bible. Here's the rules. And if you were interviewing for the job and you didn't line up with the Bible, it was like, no offense, not the right project for you. Because I've tried to advise people that try to go into entertainment industry before this thing become a thing. It was like, you guys got to know that when people tell you no, a lot of times it's like, no, you're not right for this, or it's not the right time. right? And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're just too old, you're too young, you're too fat, you're too thin. It's like, well, it works with writers too. It's like, well, that's not the direction we want to go. This isn't the right art. This isn't that. And it's like, this was in their freaking material, is the line from Thanos to Black Panther to Namor. Like I couldn't believe, I had not read this. I'm going to be perfectly transparent. It's on my to-do list now, I assure you. So,
well, let me ask the both of you while we're on this idea of pre-existing material. Do you think that the Wakanda Forever that we got is primarily because of the existence of the subplots within the original material called Flashpoint?
Well, Flashpoint would be the DC product, so that would be something different.
No, that's exactly my point. Where the Atlanteans fight against the Amazonian queens.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. So you think it's in response to what they're doing over there?
Right. That they not just in response, but out of either libel or continuity across different industries between Warner Brothers and DC, or Warner Brothers and Disney, because I know that there was a major issue with Shazam and Captain Marvel, even though Shazam has been Captain Marvel since his inception, and Captain Marvel came along decades later in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's a whole different. That's more of a legal issue.
Yeah, so they let that copyright go. Marvel bought it up, so they had Captain Marvel. Yeah, so that it's a little bit different. I will say this: that a lot of the overlap is just because if you just remember the idea of creating, it's like Waterman, okay, Fireman, right? So we ended up with Namor and Human Torch. And when DC comes along, you had Superman, and it's a bad. And so literally, Stan Lee has admitted to like, how about a spider? Right? It's like, why are the mutants? It's because it's like there's the way we don't have to write origin stories and backstories. Oh, they're just a whole bunch of mutants. Hairy guy, acrobat guy with wings. It's like just throw stuff out there.
Right.
I will say over time they do copy each other in some ways.
I mean,
I don't think that's even hard to figure out. I
Thanos,
think with this
Darkseid.
Yeah, it's just, there's massive overlap. But I think with this, it's nothing more than Joe Robert Cole. I had to make sure I got the name right because I knew it was 3 names. Joe Robert Cole gets co-writing credit with Ryan Coogler. They're the guys that did the first movie and made $1 billion. They're going to do this one. That's it. What do you guys want to do? They were probably writing. They knew Namor was part of the project. Like I said, there was a credit scene that was done that didn't make the final cut. And they've been talking about Namor. And I put this in my notes too. It's important for everybody to understand that Namor has been in the works a very long time. Marvel got back like some control in 2016. Not all of it. And a lot of the quotes, even by like Joe Quesada and others, were like, well, it's kind of muddled. So basically everybody knows it's a universal contract thing, just like the Hulk is. It's like you can't do a Namor movie. You have to include him. But let's be honest, it's more about money than anything else. Follow the money is still the rule of it. So the reality is we're going to make him Aztec. We're going to change his look. We're going to give him an accent, blah, blah, blah. And give him the wings. Yeah, fine. Put the wings on. Who cares? Nobody cares about the wings. That's literally the amount of thought and effort they appear to put in things. I think we overthink things, Steven. I don't think they do at all. I think they're literally just.
I don't give them that. I don't give them any credit. We're like, hey, they did this in DC. The Amazons and the Atlanteans went into war. Let's do the same thing. No, I don't think they did that at all. I think, and as you said, Pops, because they hinted Namor in Endgame.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
there's a water earthquake comments that are made and things like that. So, and hail to Chris Persia, who was able to pop up in here, by the way. He's also not only one of my great mods, but also just a great member. So many other people that were here that are members. Joker Voice, I know you're a member. Zax, many others, and we do have a members only stream tomorrow for any of you that you are members. But also if you want to join, be part of the Pops family here to do this. So
I personally think when they had their original story going, and then Chadwick dies, and now they're like, oh crap, and so they had to. This was a restructured story where they should have just stopped the entire thing, put the entire thing on hold for at least another 2 years, and really fleshed out a story. But no, they had to. This was going to be in phase 4 no matter what, so we got to make something fit.
Yeah, I also think they just also like, so imagine a framework of a story. They have some sort of Namor, Atlantis versus Wakanda story in place. Chadwick dies. They put in all that emotional stuff in there. Shuri's going to be Black Panther. Maybe that was originally part of the plan or not. Doesn't matter. It is now. Mm-hmm. And then, by the way, we're doing this Riri show, so you have to put Riri in. Okay, crap. I'll go back and I'll rewrite 30 minutes or more that's wasted dealing with this character that's completely irrelevant and duplicates a lot of what Shuri does. So we'll get to her in a second. I want to make sure that I don't miss anything else. And the very first part of the film is just, it's a whole lot of mourning, this little underwater scene over the vibranium, how they find it, the UN scene, then more mourning, more talking, the funeral nonsense that kind of happens. The coffin's taken somewhere. I'm not even sure I understand exactly what's happening with all that. That was so weird. It's just I don't even understand. Okay, I'm not alone with missing that, right? They don't really ever explain what's actually happened, right? Okay, cool. I'm glad. I feel like that's like a MacGuffin for us to have something that happens later on. Like it'll be like in another movie, there'll be a coffin. I don't know if we're gonna try to pull a
Star Trek 4.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what we're doing. It's just stuff like that happens, Steven, as well. Like these random things happen that don't get explained.
Okay, and
they discover the coffin and it's got like purple fungus growing out of it.
Maybe
it's a new branch of the flower, and
one other thing. And speaking of that, Shuri is trying to duplicate the heart-shaped herb. It's trying to
right. Well, she's off that. She goes off. By the way, this is another thing. It drives you crazy, Steven, is they make you crazy because they keep changing direction so many times. You and the audience have to keep like a scorecard. So she's not working on purple herb. She's working on T'Challa's cure, but then she's working on the herb, but then she's not. And then the mother goes, "Aren't you working on the purple herb?" She's like, "Oh, okay, I'll work on the purple herb." The purple herb should come from their goddess or their god, Bast. And it's like the spiritual elements to be like, well, we need more purple herb, or be honest, they forget the fact that just having the vibranium and the suit is enough to be a warrior and enough to be relevant without the purple flower part. But that part gets completely forgotten. Oh, geez, I hit my mic.
Kind of like Falcon.
Yeah, or, well, first off, I can't derail on Falcon because they don't make his suit vibranium, by the way. Make your head hurt even more, by the way. So when they give him the Captain America suit at the end of that stupid show, it's not vibranium. So it makes me
not.
Wow. No, it is not.
It's not.
My head hurts so bad.
Why would they do that?
No, they end the episode saying the suit comes for Wakanda. They open it up and it's just a generic suit. It's not vibranium like at all.
Unbelievable. So, you know what? I almost picture a sequence where he opens it up, right? And he's looking at the suit and he puts it on and he goes and he yells at that senator and all that jazz. And then you cut to all of the engineers in Wakanda laughing out loud, patting each other on the back. He thought it was made out of vibranium. What the hell?
Why does that?
I couldn't believe it. Like I said, I didn't hate Falcon and Winter Soldier as much as most people did until the freaking end. Not just because of the Messiah scene, and not just because John Walker is the only one that's heroic. Not just because they cucked Bucky. They made a big deal about the suit, and it's not even a special freaking suit. It's just a generic suit. Wakanda didn't even bother giving the other black dude the vibranium tech on his suit. I kid you not. This is how stupid they are and how stupid they treat us. Oh my gosh. Yes, my blood pressure is probably like 210. Oh my God. Okay. All right, let's get back to this movie. Because right about now in the movie, it's about when Namor. It's the famous clip that everyone's shown. I took a piece of it, Gary. I took a piece of Gary explaining what the crazy lady said at the premiere about it being. So Namor, because Namor meant avenged son, like the avenging son. That's the original comic book. Now it's the son doesn't have a dad or some nonsense, right?
The boy who grew without love.
Freaking so progressive political nonsense.
And Namor gets stopped after he crosses the border.
He just walks under the shield. He just walks under the shield, swims under the shield, Steven. He walks on shore. Did you know that Thanos could have just taken Wakanda by having them go underwater, evidently? Hold on a moment. Let's take a pause.
You know what you need?
Ray and Roy is here. It's an average movie. Too many female characters sideline the male characters. They should recast Black Panther. Well, first off, I agree with two of those things. Too many female characters, and they should have recast Black Panther. However, it's not an average movie. You're being too kind, and I'm going to keep going. This stream could sadly be way too long, and many of you will not be able to stay up with me because I have that many notes. I don't know what's done right in this movie. I really don't.
Nothing.
And then they don't sideline male characters. There aren't any male characters. M'Baku is the only male character that kind of exists, but he's almost like comic relief. Pound your chest, put your club down.
Where is Okoye's husband?
Why?
The border tribe?
I don't know who any of them. I don't know. First off, half of them now are, I guess, allegedly kind of lesbians because we have like a kiss on the head illusion, like batting of the eye. I thought they were celibate. I thought the whole point of being part of the Guard was that they were like female celibate. I really don't know what they're doing there.
Well, I mean, that little scene gets that little scene. That's for us. That gets edited out in the rest of the world.
Well, I'm sure of that. Yeah. So vibes are for women only. Pops. Yeah. And actually, Wakanda not give him their tech stands to reason. They never helped one of their neighboring nations in the past. Oh, Chris Burge, I haven't even got to the insane. Well, again, that's the United Nations thing, right? It's you guys can't do it. It's like you don't even help the other African countries around you. They live in huts and they're like third world nations. I'm not talking about helping the white Americans. Or you don't want to help the Europeans, or you don't want to help the British colonialism, or you don't. Okay, I can even see that as an argument. No. You don't even help Rwanda.
Wait a second. In the beginning of Civil War, aren't they in a suburb of Wakanda? I mean, isn't that the reason why it goes to the United Nations in the first place? Otherwise, how does Wakanda even enter the Marvel universe?
Well, they're a member of the United Nations, but they're pretending. No, they're pretending to be like a third world country as part of the United Nations. And then there's the Baron Zemo organizes the attack to create and stir up the civil war between Iron Man and Cap and the need for government oversight. And of course, Black Panther is thrown in the middle of it because his dad is killed in that attack.
Right.
Black Panther further deepens how xenophobic they are and how isolated they are. They don't want to share anything with anybody at any time. And only because of Cap and T'Challa's relationship does that Guard even come down enough for them to fight Thanos.
Right. So
that's the only thing that's relevant.
So my question is this, because I looked at because I did a Google search because this was making my brain hurt. Like, if Wakanda was real, where would it exist? It's in northern Kenya. There's no ocean access in northern Kenya. There's a lake. How does Namor get there? Via the ocean.
Don't think, just
consume
digest.
Product. Just consume product.
Awesome one. Your question is again more MCU lore, right? Okay, so you have to rewind the clock. So we got to go back to Winter Soldier. Right, you got to go backwards because you have to go to when S.H.I.E.L.D. had been basically taken over by Hydra. Right. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show, and Winter Soldier ran in parallel. So it lines up perfectly, whether you're watching one or the other or both of them simultaneously. And you can see how S.H.I.E.L.D. was basically torn apart from the inside. And the remnants of S.H.I.E.L.D. after that part at that point are just kind of like, I don't know. They're just kind of like a spy organization with less global influence on, at that point. Yeah. So the United Nations was, and again, it's more metaphorical stuff with it being the United Nations and stuff like that. So they talk about representation. Where are the men for little boys? They don't care about that. No, actually, none of Hollywood does. Forget about just Disney. Just nobody cares about dads. So were there the Mexicans were the little tailless Navi? Oh yeah. It's bad. It's bad. And Brandon, we're very happy for you, my friend. Hope everybody is supporting each other and that kind of thing. If it's a river, it's in our head because they don't say it.
And I'm gonna push back against this too, because multiple times, if they're living in the ocean, they are breathing salt, the water. To go right into fresh, they are not equipped for that, because and multiple times in the film we saw orcas going up rivers. These are salt water animals.
Right. So that latter part is the more important part, right? Because in the comic book, the Atlanteans, the actual group that Namor comes from, they're basically this is why Namor is basically bulletproof, because his skin and he's so strong. He even the pressure of being 2 fathoms below water would compress his body. He would die. Right. So therefore, they are right. They are sort of superhuman in that regard.
Right.
But we ditched that for this movie. But we also, because we have the whales, the whales at one point, Stephen, throw the Navi. They're Navi. I'm sorry. But I will say this. I put it in my thumbnail. Maybe I should share that photo. I feel a little represented, Stephen. Have you seen the photos of the fat dude? The fat Navi? Because he's got some moves.
Yeah. Are you talking about the blue guy with the crazy bone helmet on and stuff like that?
Yeah,
he's got whatever. It looks like a hammerhead shark or something.
It is a hammerhead shark.
Yeah.
Atuma. His name is, the character is supposed to be Atuma, but Atuma's got moves. Very, very happy that I'm being represented with me, because I'm a little on the heavier side. And my thumbnail is not the greatest to pull up right now. Well, let me bring Brandon in here, Brandon. Brandon, I don't know if you've seen the movie or not, my friend, but thanks for hopping in here and hanging out with us for a minute and saying, hey, hope you're doing well.
You hear me just fine?
I can hear you a little bit. You're a little bit hard to hear, but we want to welcome you in. Hope you're doing well. Did you see Wakanda?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, we're kind of we're talking about that, so bear with me here. I'm going to share this picture of this ridiculousness. It's kind of a little hard to see because I cropped it into my thumbnail. But yeah, the dude's got like a little hammerhead thing going on. Yeah,
you can hear me just fine?
Yeah. I can hear you a little bit, buddy. Yeah, on this. Yeah, this bottom left, he's got not even like dad bod. He's heavier than I am. That dude's got to be pushing 250. Yeah.
Well, I get it that there are thicker skins on some of the porpoise kind of anthropomorphic.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I've seen in a lot of science fiction that there are some dolphin and shark people, and they usually wind up being a little thicker of skin, so you can't really see the tone of the muscle underneath.
Yeah.
Just because of underwater, insulation, but still,
right.
I've heard that there's a severe lack of athleticism on a lot of these characters.
Yeah, it's not just one of them. It's not just one of them. It's a whole bunch of them that look like they're just all heavier and not in shape, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense for a race that's like this, swimming underwater survival. I mean, you figure they're not living near the surface. They're several fathoms deep in the ocean to survive and that kind of thing. So, Brandon, if you didn't watch Wakanda, anything you want to talk about in particular real quick? Did you get something new there? What are you going to show us there? You got something in your hand? Did you get a new box set?
There's a guy this last year.
So it's the original Space Jam.
Oh no, that's a nice box set right there. Very cool.
Did any of you get me a shout video?
A what?
I couldn't hear you, Brandon. I couldn't make out what you said there. I'm sorry.
About shout out videos for me.
Oh, a shout out video. I did a shout out video with you before. So yeah, if anybody can do a shout out video for Brandon, that'd be great. He's at 901. We gotta try to get him to 1,000. So yeah, he'd appreciate.
More subs to go.
Yep, less than 100. It's in the home stretch. That'd be great, man. I'd be pulling for you, man. That'd be awesome. So I got a lot of feedback at your end, Brandon. I kind of have to mute you a little bit here just to make it a little bit easier for us to chat, okay?
Okay.
If you want to show things, that's fine, but I have to kind of get some of that sound under control. Okay, so on the film, yeah, the dad bod thing was part of my frustration. So, all right. So I guess we should move to Riri because so the plot is Namor shows up and says, okay, they got this machine and they found the vibranium where I live, and they're going to find the vibranium where you are. So you need to help me figure out how to get my hands on this scientist. And it turns out it's this teenager, which, by the way, they claim she's 19. She behaves and looks as though she's like 16, but they claim she's 19. She's just an uber genius because they claim that she made the machine in like 2 months. We don't know where she. I guess there's one comment about her brother. Did she learn from her brother, or Shuri saying she learned? I don't know. It all just happens, and it doesn't matter to me.
Shuri learned from T'Challa. Riri is just that smart. This is the new replacement for Tony Stark, folks.
Yeah.
Based on a comic that didn't last 10 issues.
Yeah.
Well,
that means
in the
kick
comic,
Shuri out of the universe immediately. If
they hate her because of the politics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So they're trying to they're not replacing Tony Stark as much as they're replacing her because she was supposed to replace Tony Stark.
Well, no, Ironheart does replace Tony Stark, especially in the comic. In the comic book, she goes to a teacher, and it's like, basically be racist to me, tell me something I can't do, and it's like, well, you can't be Tony Stark. She breaks into Tony Stark's lab, steals a suit,
steals tech,
right? And in this, she just makes it out of a bunch of scrap. This is how she made the machine that can detect a metal. There's no explanation of anything, Steven. So we don't understand how she can detect vibranium. She doesn't have any vibranium in her house. No. As far as I know, there's not like an easy database to get to on what the chemical formula is. It doesn't put off radiation. We have no idea what. There's no explanation. There's just a machine that she's the only human that could figure this out. By the way, vibranium's been around since Howard Stark. He made a shield out of it, so he knew how to do something with it. And yet she's the only one, 27 projects later. It's so shoehorned in and dumb that it's unbearable to sort of watch. So I don't know.
On top of that, we've got White Vision was a vibranium being, right? Isn't that my understanding of how they made Vision in the Marvel universe?
I have to look back and see if MCU Vision
because Ultron gathered vibranium,
right?
Put it into the chamber,
correct,
and started making himself his new form. His latest form.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're right. You're right. So they all knew.
The reason why he can phase through objects is because of the vibranium.
He vibrates. Right. So that means Ruffalo knew, Tony Stark knew. There's going to be other people that would know enough to know about it.
Hank Pym knew.
Yeah, how about the guy in WandaVision, the guy who was analyzing the White Vision? He knew.
They were restructuring. They were building one. Right.
Which is weird because they say in this film that vibranium does not show up on standard metal detectors.
Yeah. Pops. Chris says, but Pops, Wakandans are too busy making jewelry out of vibranium. Well, evidently the Atlanteans are too. I'm not calling them whatever they are. What are they? They're I don't even know. I don't even care.
It's called Talokan.
So I don't care. I'm not calling them that. I'm not calling him Cuckoo. He's Toucan Sam. I'm not calling him any of that kind of nonsense.
He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House is here. Hey there, my friend. Dropping a quick view on break. How amazing is this movie? This movie is so bad. I don't even know what to say.
Amazingly bad.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon, are you and your dad are playing a game? What kind of game are you playing? Oh, I gotta turn my mic. I gotta turn his mic back on. Oh, did it not turn on? Hang on here.
Well,
you can't unmute your guests because they chose to mute. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I think you're muted now, Brandon. You'd have to unmute on your side. I can't unmute you. So you're playing a game, buddy? What kind of game are you playing? What kind of game are you playing, Brandon? Okay. I don't know what's happening there.
Okay.
I'm trying. So yeah, Cuckoo, I am the walrus. Yeah, great. It's so nuts. Wii party. Brandon's playing a Wii party. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Brandon, listen, I'm going to let you, we're going to let you go because we're going to talk about this Wakanda stuff, let you play your game and stuff. Everyone, if you can, give a shout out to Brandon's channel. Make sure you're subbed. Support one of our fellow creators. He has a great niche with all the Looney Tunes stuff and all the stuff he's doing. It's a great break for me.
Brandon, I will give you
in the chat.
Brandon,
all right, my friend.
Brandon, I will give you a shout out on my next Titans video.
Yeah, we'll get that link. We'll throw that link in the chat there for you guys so much.
Gotcha.
So, Brandon, I'm going to let you go, my friend. You enjoy your Wii party and have some fun with your dad. Can't wait to see some more of your videos. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing we making all my golden bucks and mini walkthroughs.
All right, my friend. Oh, there you go. Chris put the link in. Let's get that up on screen. There's your link, guys, so you can check out his stuff. So,
sweet.
All right, Brandon, we're going to take care, man. I'll talk to you soon. All right, buddy?
Brandon.
Okay.
See you, buddy. All right, man. There's a creator for every little niche, that's for sure.
There's that.
So, got to support all of. So, yeah, Cuckoo. It is. It's just the Riri thing, and the worst part with the Riri thing is she makes the suit. Steven, have you heard about how bad the suit is?
I've certainly seen some images of it, and I hope the nation of Japan has something to say about this.
Ryan Coogler had to have been told to do this. They do like a shot for shot homage to the original Iron Man when they go up and he freezes and comes down, right? But her suit doesn't have a full helmet and stuff. So her skin is exposed. So when she would freeze, she would die. Because you're 80% water, she would die. There is no protection. There is no armor. Half of her body is exposed in this preliminary suit. She would just die. There's no
in her face. Yeah.
There's no maybe or sci-fi or no. You're just what are you doing?
Atmospheric pressure at certain altitudes, her stomach would just explode.
Well, and they show her freezing, but it's like, but she's not frozen. And I'm like, but there's no explanation on why she's not dead. Like, I don't.
She must be a child of Star-Lord too. Because, Star-Lord can survive in space. Why not her? Is she better? Is Star-Lord better than her? Dude.
At least Star-Lord's backstory actually makes more sense to at least try to explain it. I don't like it, but at least they tried to explain it. I know you are. We have to have sort of a if any of you want to come in here and suffer with us, we totally understand. Chris just pointed out, her face is completely exposed. Yes. Yes.
That's
it's completely
ridiculous.
Insane. Yes. Supposedly the Mark I is made of car parts. I don't even want to hear it. There's no explanation of an arc react. We have no idea how she powers it or anything like that. Tabletop. Hey, brother. Hopefully you guys are doing well over there. And Gray is saying, interesting take. 21-year-old daughter went to see it, told me she loved it. She wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. She got me curious to see it now. Why, Gray? Gray, why? I'm telling you, Gray.
Don't waste your time, dude. We watch
I don't
so
know.
You don't have to.
I don't know what's good to tell you about other than Angela Bassett's performance is fine. But she has nothing to work with of any substance. Her character doesn't even make sense half the time, but her performance is at least fine. M'Baku's performance, Winston Duke is fine, but he has nothing to work with whatsoever. All you do is get mad because his character is not being used properly. That's all you do because he can actually act and he whatever.
Right. M'Baku's in this for like
10 minutes would be exaggeration. Exaggeration. Yeah. I bet it's not. I bet if we actually did it, it'd probably be more like seven. Yeah, exactly right. Haven't watched the movie, saving my money. Yeah. You can hit me up on Twitter if you want me to give you a way to avoid that even further. I mean, just saying I like to sail sometimes. And this is one of those areas where I was going to go sailing. Only because it's 3 hours long. If it had been like an hour and a half, I probably would actually have just bought a ticket to Black Adam and sat through it.
40 minutes too long. 40 minutes. They could have easily cut
30 minutes of that is Riri. We didn't read Riri. We had Shuri. Riri needs her own show. Introduce all of what you did in her show. We didn't need any of this. It's just dumb. It's just none of this. We have her story. Just tell her story. I hate her story, but we have her story. By the way, as a joke, I put on that poll Jerker voice where it says, pick the next, the good read, bad read, don't read thing. and I put, so Hawkman and Black Adam, and I put Riri, and some people actually voted for me to do Riri. I hate you people.
No.
I hate you people.
Oh no.
I don't know how I'm going to get to that. I don't even know. Because it's like reading America Chavez. Steven,
oh no.
I got 7 pages in and stopped reading, and just like I literally would stop. And I would try to come back. I'd read like 2 pages. I was showing coworkers panels of a comic book, and you would see the cringe on normies' faces. Like they're talking about like menstruation. They're talking about Sotomayor. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, I've listened to a few reviews on the historical synopsis of her existence in the Marvel Universe. And I'm like, okay, let me get a counter going here. How many times did they change her powers? How many times has her origin story been altered? She's a lesbian. No, she's an alien. No, she's from another dimension. No, she's from another dimension in a different multiverse. It's like, wow.
The original
How old
version
is this
of
character?
her,
Like 10 years, 15 years?
She's supposed to be like 17 years old, and it started like a little over 10 years ago. Her original version is basically like a stupid name, America Chavez, a Hispanic Wonder Woman, and it was fine. And she can punch and she can punch portals too. And then suddenly, Gabriela Rivera, I think is her name. I may have her name quite wrong. Bear with me if I got her name quite right. I know the last name is Rivera for sure. It's Gabrielle or Gabriella. And suddenly, the art is by the person that created the America Chavez.
Oh, okay.
The writer, and it becomes like Berkeley Art School art, horrible, cringy dialogue. Like she goes to a school that it's called Sotomayor University.
Shut up!
Absolutely. So I may even still have a screenshot.
Oh my god!
I will text you, Joker, because I may even still have a screenshot. Okay. Gray wants to know, is she in the attendance? Is a 21-year-old the attendance audience? I keep hearing we certainly aren't. So, okay, here's the thing. There's nothing comic book about it.
No.
Because even Riri's not comic book. Because they even changed Riri. Like I said, I hate the original Riri concept. But it's even worse because we didn't even do that. Okay? So it's not comic book for you, Gray. You might see yourself. I mean, I saw myself. I'm white though, but I saw myself as the dad bod blue Navi guy. Like, oh look, I'm the fat guy's represented. I'm the white guy that gets mocked. Like they have,
Everett Ross.
The Ross guy, right? Martin Freeman walking around and getting lectured and pointing his finger and whatever. So I got a little bit of
Hydra.
Oh my god! And she has a purple stripe in her hair, Steven.
Why?
Freaking Elaine has a purple stripe in her hair.
Don't know.
I'm going to show you guys. I have that pulled up. I'm going to show you, Steven. You may not want to believe me. I am going to show you this shot.
No, I thoroughly believe you. Here's where my shock comes from, okay? Because back in Roman times, all of the elite caste that looked down on everybody else in Roman society, they were called purple bellies. The elite caste were called purple bellies because they wore tunics that were dyed with octopus ink. And they would eat a lot of seafood. And that was nothing that regular people could afford, were these purple colors. They were all part of like these lavender brigades. So the idea that they're using purple as an identifying color, that means that she's openly being pretentious against people. It's so weird.
Have you seen Madam Hydra? She's openly pretentious.
See that stripe right there? There you go. She's a purple stripe in her hair, man. I don't want.
I thought you were talking about Riri.
I don't want.
I thought
No.
No.
Madam Hydra. Well, it's even worse. See, Riri, I could have expected to be a little weird or a little off or whatever. She's like a child, but no. It was way worse that it's Madam Hydra.
Right.
Like I'm like, what is happening? Like it's little things like that keep happening in this movie that just make my head hurt. Like I don't even understand what they're trying to do half the time. So let me see here. Why my mouse is. I kind of lose track of where we're on this story because the story's so bad. there's just all this talky talk, whatever. By the way,
And then,
I'm sorry. It's extremely racist. The black girls that, as far as I know, have never met. We have to go find them, and they everyone's high-fiving and fisting it up at one point, and you're just like, what the heck is happening in this movie?
Well,
like, it's just
when they meet.
Oh, the
Riri,
kidnapping scene. Mm-hmm.
When they meet Riri, and it's basically, this is a continuation of the Wakandans from Captain America and from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They think they can go anywhere, do anything they want, because Okoye tells Riri, "I'm going to give you two choices. You can come to Wakanda conscious or unconscious. Either way, we're kidnapping you."
Right. Yeah,
All
that's
right,
the way it should have been. Right.
All right. So it's just, oh my God. Gray is saying that because of mixed race. I don't understand why there would be a racial component to you liking a movie that's this bad.
Oh my God.
But I think it's more like you've turned your brain off. So if your niece, I'm sorry, if your daughter is liking it that much, it may just be more like just the consumption element of the Marvel universe. The people that like all of the Phase 4 stuff, like, I don't know which of the Phase 4s that she doesn't like to gauge the perspective. And I think the problem with any of these movies is when you start to, oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear what Mahler had to say. So I was gonna make an EFAP because when this drops on Disney, and that's what I wish, because I obviously I briefly showed my cards there on my my sailing site to know. I can't really EFAP. I mean, obviously, I even pulled it up. I may have to cut it out to keep the copyright stuff away. I can't imagine EFAPing this because it makes Stephen. We are only. I got to pulled up.
Oh no,
we're not even halfway. We're not even halfway in the movie. We're not even. We're not even halfway in the movie.
I could see them doing this for a week straight.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's going to be 10 or 15 hours. We're only halfway. We didn't really talk about half this stuff.
No,
you can't. It'll make your head hurt.
I can't wait. You know, it's crazy, and we keep talking. There's a lot of discussion around pop culture about, like, you know, why should we even be discussing this stuff? Well, because, to be honest with you, some of the content that comes out of all of this, like listening to Mahler go to town.
I'm sorry, Stephen. I'm sorry. I don't have.
I saw this comment.
I don't have the human
genius.
capacity to read something like that and keep it in and try to keep a straight face while you were talking. I'm so sorry. I apologize for that. But holy crap!
Her suit is powered by contempt towards white men in positions of power. I have no problem reading that with straight face because it's not even a joke at this point.
Yes,
it's not.
Yes,
but to watch EFAP, and you know what? I just watched a thing where Jay from EFAP tore apart the Doctor Who episode. He starts getting into the last season of Doctor Who. He did a brilliant job, a 6-hour-long video, the longest piece of content he's ever created before.
Wow.
He is an EFAPper, man. He's right up there with those guys. He's right up there with Rags and everybody else. He's just as capable. These guys are story wizards.
See, the only way I'm going to be able to do that kind of stream is someone else is going to have to control the mouse. They're gonna have to do all this stuff, so I don't, because I just can't. I have a hard enough time trying to stay coherent with you guys and chat and all that kind of stuff. So I would have to figure out a way to delegate and be a voice on the panel and not having to run that stuff. And then I could do the sick, and also I could go to the bathroom, right? Because obviously I'm a little bit of an old man. I'm going to have some breaks.
Pops, I've been telling this about this website to a bunch of different people. Joker Voice, I mentioned it to you. Everybody else in the chat, I mentioned it to you guys as well. There is a website out there called moviescreencaps.com. And it's a photograph of every 10 seconds of a film. They have full zip files of all of the photographs, so you could download them to your system so you're not doing it live. And the 1 or 2 times I've seen people use this on a stream, they always talk about how there's too many shots where it's almost frame by frame.
Okay.
So any old movie you're reviewing, this is where you can go to grab screen captures of almost any
There's a
movie
lot
you
in
could
here.
think of. Yeah. It's a fantastic resource for what is now becoming the only way to talk about feature-length films. You got to do a gallery. Otherwise, you're going to get copyrighted. You can't do clips
All right.
anymore. It's like they've totally stopped.
All right, so here's my thing on copyright. All right, so I'll say this about copyright because I just won like 5 more of my things, right? Because I refuse to go down. I've been doing this way too long. For those of you who don't know, I've been doing stuff for other channels, have lost channels, demonetization. I've done stuff for, I mean, literally like Pops was created in 2012. That's how I'm doing just YouTube, just because I was creating something for someone else and went, I don't create anything for myself. And I just made it. Didn't do anything with it for like almost 10 years. You know, barely did anything. You have to know kind of a little bit of what the rules are and how to fight the game. So for instance, we were doing Blazing Saddles. And Ironcaster was controlling the mice, and we went 10 seconds instead of 7 or 8. We fortunately weren't talking, so I had to find a spot where we were not talking, and then I shaved 2 seconds out. I don't shave very much, just shave a little bit out. You have to kind of play the game a little bit, step by step. I had limited availabilities, like why? So I do the review. Now, admittedly, if you're dropping F-bombs or you're getting into gender identity issues, and my political one right now is still limited, which does make sense because I was talking about politics, right? But I'm not going down without a fight. I will keep figuring out. Tell me what's wrong with it. I'm not going down without them telling me. No, I want my nickels. I only get paid nickels anyway by you thieves. I want my nickel. Right. I made a freaking 3-hour political video. Trust me, I was more safe in PG-13 than half these other people on the left were. So stop pretending that I did something wrong, right? So fight your fight. Fight your fight. All right, I want to get to this thing at Gray. So he brings up the entrance. Okay, Gray, I would need you to clarify because the original entrance is he walks under the shield. I mean, he swims under the shield and walks on shore. Literally, like, no offense, Mexican wet, including his backside, walks on shore, talks to the black dude. Crosses the border to the black people and threatens them basically, and you're like, little bit.
Oh
now,
no!
If you're talking
that's a lot on the nose.
If you're talking about the animal throwing him in some of those scenes, okay, there are some moments where some of the CGI is not bad. There are other moments where the CGI is terrible, just like every other modern product, just like every Disney product. So. Let's see. Oh, sorry, hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. Hit this one. There we go. Tabletop. This is why I no longer watch MCU, Doctor Who, or DC. So, look, tabletop. First, let me say Black Adam is not that bad.
And we got new heads we got new heads and an actual studio for DC Comics. So let's not pass judgment yet.
Now, I understand where you're coming from. I do understand the agenda, and I understand your money. I totally understand. You pick and choose your battles. Right. I will say this about Black Adam. Joker and I pretty much agree. It's an average film. Mm-hmm. It's got the great cameo at the end that everyone knows.
It's enjoyable.
It's a fun time. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. We watch things so you don't have to. Joker's definitely one that does it with me. I know A Common Idiot, Matt does it. He's been doing Andor as well. He's done She-Hulk. There are several of us that do this, so you don't have to, like you were saying, Steve, you've watched enough reviews. You don't have to watch it. You know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Like Abomination AJ said this on his one thing. I didn't watch it. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Fair enough. There's a place for each of us to do different things for different reasons. And I think what you were trying to get at, Stephen, I think hopefully this is part of my mission, was I do this for now, but hopefully the content will out-survive me. And someone that will like watch this and being told it's a 90 on a Rotten Tomatoes, and they'll go, I thought this movie was dog crap. And they find some old dude named Pops who has these videos who was like, this was dog crap. That guy's pretty, he's pretty consistent too. It's like nothing should be a 9 or a 10. Those are extremely rare. You guys do understand 9. I'm not even sure, because we just finished doing the Talk Hard of Scent of a Woman. I'm not even sure I would give Scent of a Woman a 9, just because. Is it that rewatchable to be a 9? Loki says he watches it every year. I don't know that I'd watch it every year. It might be an 8, 8.5. I'm that hard. there was no foul in the old days of giving something 4 stars.
No.
Out of 5.
No.
But now suddenly I'm a jackwagon for wanting to call something an 8. Screw you people. I'm not changing my rules because of them. No, right. I'm not doing it. No. Right. Godfather's a 10.
It used to be a very rare thing that something could go to God tier level and get 5 stars.
One of the
nothing. Godfather. It's like this. It's
one of my only 5. One of like my only 5-star films like ever is like Shawshank.
Correct. Right. There's like 10 that you're like, it has to be. And again, it can change because there's movies that like you're like, at some point the culture stopped. I mean, I still don't think people even appreciate like Psycho, because to me it's like once you understand how things are made and what they're able to accomplish, you start to understand it should have more value than it should. Because when AFI's list used to come out on the top 100, Psycho was really far down that list, and over time people started to understand that he was innovating to make some of these movies. Like people didn't understand. You know, it's like I remember being in college and showing someone, there's a scene in Frenzy where he has a camera shot that goes up and down stairs. And I'm like, where is the track? How is this shot done? Yeah. And people were like, dude, blah, blah, blah. But then you're not a film nerd. Like, you're fine. It's no harm foul. I'm the cinemaphile that needs to figure out how this shot was made, because I don't understand how this dude did this in the 1970s.
Yeah, I was on Roman of the Empire's channel talking about we were talking horror movies, favorites, least favorite horror movies, right? Yeah. And I actually got the opportunity not only to do it as a horror movie, but to do it as my least favorite sci-fi movie. Okay. And I have major technical and thematic issues with the movie Event Horizon. Oh, there's some serious problems with that movie.
Execution.
For one, the camera never stabilizes enough for me to sit there and become terrified. The characters are never grounded and human enough and capable enough for me to be terrified for them. It's like all of a sudden they're this very capable mission team, and then 5 minutes later they're all teenagers running around a haunted mansion. It's like,
I'm going to put a pin in this, Steven, because we've been asked to do Event Horizon for Talk Hard several times, and I keep trying to say I'm not a big fan, and I said, guys, I'm going to have a hard time getting it to a 6. I really, to be honest, I just don't get the love of this film. Because the execution is so bad, and that's what I hear you saying. It's not even the concepts and some of it's just there's major execution problems.
Angry about it is that the concepts are actually quite awesome. But
this is what the problem is with Joker. Joker's going to agree with me on Andor.
So awesome. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anytime you want, Pops, just make sure you tell me ahead of time.
Well,
I'll be there.
I'm not eager. And Joker's going to agree with me, because that's the issue with Andor. It's not concepts. It's the execution of the show is the problem. It's the editing. It's the lack of editing. It's the execution of the show. When we say we don't like the show, it's like we're putting it at like a 5 or a 6. We're not like making it a 2. No. You people need to freaking calm down.
Yeah.
It's like I get so much hate of like hating on this show. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's okay if they would edit it more. I
have always said with Andor, you take every imperial reference out. It's an okay sci-fi spy show.
I'm with you. Right. I'm with you. Okay, Gray.
Okay.
I'm not going to fight you. You're good.
Okay. So back to the film.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we in this film? Let me see. Let me figure out where
we are. Namor has crossed the border and has said, no. They're on the bridge. Okoye
right, the bridge scene.
Okoye gets her ass kicked.
Well, first off, she survives the attack. Right. So Riri's in a suit. There's vibranium, like some sort of thing for Shuri. They get knocked out. But the car flips over and Okoye just walks out like nothing ever happened. Like she doesn't even have a scratch on her.
No.
It's completely stupid right out of the get-go. Now, they say all the fight scene. This is where Dad Bod shows up. So I'm all down with this scene. That's my favorite scene, is this because of Dad Bod, dude. I'm like, all right, Dad Bod's throwing down with Okoye. And basically Okoye, loses. Like basically.
Right. Because they both have vibranium spears. Keep that in mind. They both have vibranium spears, because this will come later on, when another big problem I have. So then Dad bought an Namora. Right. The female, the right hand of Namor, because they couldn't come up with an original name. Let's just add an A at the end of it because
there is a comic book character called Namora, but she's like the hot chick. Like she's so there's like a couple of love interests in it, and it's kind of weird because of how they're introduced. And I will say I actually laughed because I was rereading. So I recommend Saga of the Submariner. It's more like it's the recent one. Roy Thomas was put in charge of bringing Namor back. Bring Namor to now, and then we'll give it to give it to John Byrne. So he summarized, basically 40 something years of Namor comic books in like 12 issues. And I think it's issue number 2, and they bring Namora in. And the best part is they do it when he was a teenager. So he doesn't like girls yet. So there's kind of like this back and forth and stuff. But just like Namor, she is not Namora, not at all. She's just random blue chick with a bunch of headdress and whatever.
Which they're only blue when they're exposed to air.
Yeah, I don't even understand all that. It's complete. Again, they're all blue in the comic book. He's white because he has a white dad. He doesn't change colors. Them changing colors is something else they do, in my opinion, to get out of paying money. To me, it's a royalties thing.
Yeah, and before we end the show, I'd like to leave just a few minutes to at least open up this concept that I've been kind of developing about this copyright thing that's going on with all of this material.
Yes.
It's just a theory, nothing really, conspiratorial or anything like that, but certainly something very interesting. So please, I'll try to remind us before we, but at the end, near the end, just a broad stroke on, why some of this might actually be happening.
Oh, I know why it's happening when it comes to the money. Absolutely. So it's all been outed by now. So yeah. Say Flaccid's name 3 times. Maybe they'll show up. I'm down with that. Let's see what happens.
So then just another thing, because then we have the history of Talokan. We have the history of Namor. But another thing that bugged me, to go see Talokan, Riri has to have a high pressure suit to go down to the bottom of the ocean to see this. But she eventually escapes. And she's not wearing the high pressure suit.
Yep.
None of them are. So, and of course, none of them get the bends. None of them are crushed by the pressure of the ocean when she needed the high pressure suit to get down there in the first place.
I also don't want to skip one of my favorite moments of the entire film, because there's a lot. I kid you not, Steven. So the hottest girl in the Black Panther universe is Nakia.
Yeah.
Now we put Nakia undercover. They cut away to this scene. She's only in the movie for a few minutes as well. We don't utilize the people that are actually talented or the people that actually might sell some tickets. So I would love to see some more Nakia.
She's in Haiti, right?
I think she's in Haiti, yeah. I think her undercover is wearing those yellow glasses.
Oh yeah, Superman.
Yep.
I mean, totally listen. We've thought this out. We've really literally it's like blend in and wear glasses. So yeah, there's little moments like this. Again, I hate to derail our conversation with the fluidity of it, but the movie does this too, where it'll just like change direction and give you something dumb to be distracted by for a few moments. Mm-hmm. It's so weird to me. Like I said, we're not even halfway. I think we're still not halfway. We're only like a little over the hour mark. And we keep kind of cutting around, telling some different stories. This whole thing about the underwater history and all that is really drawn out. And I tell you what, you talk about Mexican Iron Man jokes.
Well,
this shot right here. Oh man!
And they find their own heart-shaped herb, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's copy patters.
Yeah, they basically just duplicated the meteor concept. There was just another meteor that nobody just talked about. I'm like, well, there's more than one meteor because Howard Stark had this crap. By the way, Ultron knew where to get it. So there's actually like a bunch of meteorites. And by the way, maybe that means you guys don't know as much as you think you do. Maybe you're not quite as advanced as you think you were. You were just lucky. Doesn't this just reek of a Mexican Iron Man face swap? I'm just saying.
Wait a second. Why is this? Why can't?
Well, this is Baby Namor.
I
fine.
fine.
He was a fat kid. He's like,
yeah, exactly. Like what?
Oh yeah.
I'm so. It's so weird how many of these cringy moments there are when I saw the Wakandan guy like beating his chest. I mean, I know that that's all part of his act, right? He's supposed to be like based on a gorilla worshiping, cult and everything like that.
They don't talk about that part.
They don't really. They just cringe the way that they're abusing. This is what Malcolm X was talking about during the 60s. This idea of exploitation should be insulting. But it's not
worse
insulting.
than that,
it's actually
M'Baku,
openly celebrated now. It's crazy.
Oh, it's worse. M'Baku walks in the ceremonial scene, right? And someone's giving him a little bit of grief, and he just starts going, and it's like, what is happening right now? Like, it was like, there's no conversation about the gorilla god. There's no context. There's no cutaway to the tribe. There's no. He just does these things. So it's just, like I said, it's just a whole bunch of stuff thrown out there. Just consume. It's okay. Just consume.
And in all fairness to Gray's,
I'm sorry, but
Pops, in all fairness to Gray's, go ahead, Joker. I'm sorry.
But Pops, you're supposed to remember that they did that in the Black Panther film, the previous film, but you're supposed to forget everything else, all the rest of the rules.
Yeah, I was going to say, by the way, we're supposed to forget everything about, by the way, spoiler alert. Remember the White Wolf and Bucky?
Yeah. Never mentioned.
No, not there. Not in the film. Doesn't come up in conversation. No one even asks where he is. No one.
The snap.
No reference to the blip. Nothing. No.
It's my understanding too. Not a single, even a cameo in the background of a funeral procession of a single Avengers member. Not one.
No one showed up. Oh, the funeral is a private thing, and then there's like a bunch of dancing, and then there's like the helicopter casket. There's no Avengers. There's nothing heroic. Like you said, there's no heroic death. There's no heroic funeral.
There's no global movement and celebration. Nothing.
There's a mural on a wall. There's a mural on a wall, like a billboard thing. That's it. I assume it's in a newspaper somewhere. They'll reference in it. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to reference it in something else in the future. And everyone will go, oh, I see what you did there. Oh, I see what you see. You nerds, you were so dumb. They knew all along. No, they didn't know. No. They don't care. They don't care. And I'm sick of them pretending that they do. So, all right. So Gray is saying that Event Horizon is a great B movie. I think you're being generous.
Whatever.
All right, so we're good. We're all caught up on that. Yeah. All right, so yeah, pretty far. So once we get to like Fat Baby, no, we're still not halfway. Believe it or not, we're 5 minutes from halfway. There's so much talking about Atlantis and all this nonsense.
Who talks about the colonizers? Here we go again.
This is was this hang on, Joker, help me out. Who is this? Shuri or is this
who?
Hang on, sharing. Hang on.
That is Nakia.
Man, I'm like, that's not Shuri. She's built like a child. Nakia is the hot one. I'm like, there's no way that's freaking Shuri. I couldn't figure where I was. Because Nia is beautiful. Nakia is a beautiful, beautiful actress.
Right, and that little.
I always say name wrong.
That little psycho-looking thing that's completely just a framework. That's going to take her to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, it just takes her down. We just do it. We just go down. We just do things. So I got to be honest, the last half of the film, I was so checked out. I got to be honest. There's just random stuff. They cut back to Madam Hydra with the purple thing in her hair. I was distracted by that. The Queen is face-to-face with Namor. And there's all sorts of nonsense there before more conflict breaks out. And there's like these scenes where he's supposed to be intimidating. He gets up in their face and stuff.
He's not.
And I'm always just waiting for them to just slap him or something. He's never intimidating to me, like at all.
No.
Oh, who is this? The guy from S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever?
No, this was Namor. Namor. Yeah, him trying to be a villain.
Which everyone else in the film calls him Namor.
Yeah, he only calls himself Namor. We've been trolled. Like I said, this is a Jessica Gao moment with the whole them releasing that because they just stirred us all up and being angry.
This is a Victoria Alonso moment.
Yeah.
Because on the red carpet, she kept saying, Namor, Namor, Namor.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what this reminds me of? West Side Story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Spielberg and his, let's do it all in Spanish with no subtitles.
Yeah.
This is cringy. This is that cringy come out of the water scene. I want to rewind it just a tad here, make sure I get it right. Yeah, these are the scenes that you guys have seen in some of the footage and the trailers and stuff. So I think I'm pretty safe of sharing a little bit of this.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing
everything about. Go ahead.
Now, Shuri does get one thing from Talokan is Namor gives her a bracelet, which that comes into play later. How? I don't know. I don't know how that makes sense, but there was thank you, Chris. So there's because I need to get some sleep before I work tonight. So if I could talk about just like two things that just really annoyed me to no end.
Let's do it. Go ahead, Joker.
So, spoiler alert, Shuri is able to, because of the gift she gets from Namor, is able to recreate the heart-shaped herb.
Yeah, she realizes the purple stuff is in it somehow. Right.
So she takes the heart-shaped herb. She shows up in her suit. Blah 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 blah. But on her trip to the ancestral plane, you would think because of the rules, you would see your father, or in her case, her mother, maybe T'Challa would have been nice. No, Killmonger. She gets to talk to Killmonger, her cousin, and he basically passes on the message of retribution and revenge onto her. So so it is.
She thinks she's going to see her mom.
Right.
That's what's implied, which makes no sense because the mom wouldn't be on the astral plane. She's not connected to the purple flower at all.
Nope.
Right. It would have been either her dad T'Chaka or her brother T'Challa. But no. Look at they're subverting our expectations by making it Killmonger. Killmonger, of course, is feeding that plot. Remember that plot that we had about an hour and a half to 2 hours ago? You guys have forgot about? She's all full of rage and vengeance, right? Well, Killmonger is going to tell her to go for that. That's that's it. That's the plot point. It's so stupid.
Then in the final fight, again, I said that Namor is fighting with a vibranium spear. They're fighting outside on a beach. Shuri takes a spear to the gut.
Just through her. Yeah, she gets pushed through like Reva style.
For one, that should not happen. Because we saw in the previous film when Killmonger and T'Challa were fighting in the mine, they had to time that maglev for that train to weaken the vibranium for another object to pierce that. So A, that should not happen. B, she pulls the spear right out and just does a complete flip over him.
It should have killed her because it goes right through her. Obviously her spine. She's still a human inside that suit. So 2 would be it should have killed her. But no, instead it's number 3. She doesn't die. He does go through the suit, and then she flips.
It just makes no sense. This film, I was upset. I was so mad that I couldn't yell. It was just, why?
Like, I don't understand what they were doing. Why would you
just follow the rules that you've already set? This is where I get so upset, because this was my big problem with Doctor Strange, because Wanda, her powers were whatever the plot needed her to do. They broke every single rule of magic that they set in the first Doctor Strange film. And it was so frustrating. And as far as a score of this thing, if this was a out of five stars, this is a 1. It's that bad.
Good.
Yeah. And thank you for my rant. With that, I've got to take a nap because I got to work.
I totally understand.
But Pops, it is always a pleasure.
It's the best hanging out with you, my friend. Hopefully you can make tomorrow's member stream as well. We can hang out for a little bit then. It'll be fun.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Joker. Always a pleasure, man.
Thursday, episode 4 of Titans. So.
All right, nice. Thursday it is. Okay, cool.
All right, guys.
Take care, man.
Ciao.
See ya.
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, we could keep going. I really have a hard time with like the second half of the film because once we got to that, I showed that little spot where like the water grenade footage and stuff was happening, and you see them all being thrown in the air, and just I'm sort of like checking out at this point where I was just getting bored, and it's sort of like, what are they going to do? How are they going to contrive a third act fight? And then, like you said, just this astral plane nonsense, and it was so generic. Oh yeah, Chris is saying it here. Yeah, Shuri gets a message from her cousin that was a Black Panther for like a day. Of all the things that could have done, why? Because people like Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. It literally was just a reason to have him in it. I am shocked that was not leaked in trailer footage or something. I don't really watch a lot of trailer footage. Maybe it was. I could see them putting that in material to just bait people to come in and see it. It was just so contrived and dumb. I didn't get it.
Well, interestingly enough, I'm not going to mention her name out as specific, but I was on another stream, or I was watching another stream either last night or earlier this morning. And it was pretty relevant in the chat. There was a few young ladies that were just like, Michael B. Jordan is plain and simple hot.
And, of course he is. Oh yeah,
that's it.
He doesn't really even act particularly well. He's kind of playing. He's getting into that trap of just playing the same character and over again, which is kind of what happens with Hemsworth. Hemsworth is like they're just a little bit above average. So they're not like the Chris Evans level where they really can't really act much at all. They can act some, but they're putting themselves in all these typecast roles and they're just one dimension, and they've got to stay away from that. So
I guess I mean Arnold made it work for decades and decades and decades.
Yeah, but that was an era of that genre, right place, right time kind of thing, right? I mean, I'm not sure that
I guess it's been a part of Hollywood for heroic male physiques. To just be heroic male physiques.
And again, maybe you're right. I mean, maybe they just, 10 years from now, we'll look back, they go, I can't believe they've made 10 more years of basically the same type of role over and over and over again. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure he's begging for more, but they just won't give it to him. So
basically there's like this big gap that really could be, and Riri is completely irrelevant, by the way. I know you were wondering. She doesn't really. At one point, she picks up like a vehicle.
Actually, because
she picks up a vehicle and throws it. She doesn't matter.
Does she play anything more than some girl created a metal detector?
Well, she's the MacGuffin, right? She's just the girl that matters. She's the key to everything kind of moment.
MacGuffin? That's
yeah,
insane.
Pretty much. Like because it's an excuse to have some sort of introduction to her for her show. Because it still has to be about Shuri. She's the girl that matters and key to everything for the Black Panther movie. But in the grand scheme of Disney Plus product, we introduced Riri. We have her matter. She's super smart. She'll make this cheap suit. She tests the suit, so she's like, Iron Man, don't you guys see? And then she has a little fight scene, so she kind of does a couple things, but she doesn't really matter. Everyone kind of loses, so Shuri really has to kind of be, the person, which is what they were going for all along.
That's so crazy. I mean, I don't want to stop your synopsis. I'm totally willing for you to keep going with the synopsis. I'm here. I'm your wingman. Let's do it.
Yeah,
folks.
no, I wish I could just tell you that there's just so much fluff. I'll just pull up. We're just gonna roll with this. Let you guys in chat tell me what things have we not talked about that you think we should discuss? Because we're like an hour and a half in a 2.5 hour movie. Like it's so brutal. Where you just have these moments, See how heavy he looks? He doesn't look lean even, like a little bit. He
Yeah,
has
the Flaccid were
no.
having a grand old time insulting his
Oh, I
body
can't wait.
physique.
Oh, I can't wait. Who else was on with him? Do you mind me? Do you remember?
No, I think it was just them, just going over the
Oh,
material
so
and
yes.
also Computing Forever. He also
Okay.
did a recent review that, and in all fairness
There's
to that
no
guy, he's been
definition
through
at all.
so much. He does a very noble, gentle review of the material, and it's still a mockery.
Yeah.
You know, he's pulling all of his punches, and it's still like, this show sucks.
Yeah.
I feel so
this
sorry
is.
for anybody that's a fan.
So I remember I told you there's really not all this pomp and circumstance. This is the funeral for the queen because the queen doesn't make it. They have this sort of thing here, and
How
you
does
get
that
him
happen again?
She doesn't make it out of this battle back here in the water when there's the attack. So the attack is, and this is the attack that actually is in the comic book, right? Namor uses like water to flood Wakanda. So you have sort of that strategy that plays out, and the queen, you know, all this battle, and they lose miserably. Like nothing really is working for them. They don't know what they're doing. Their solution in many of the shots are just to throw the Atlanteans back in the water. Basically, it's so dumb. Anyway, so look. Here's the efforts here to go down, and Mom doesn't make it.
Unbelievable! I can't believe they actually show her face down like that. Nobody's holding her in her last moments. What did they just? Her salary
they
just
pull
ran
her
out. We can't afford to pay you anymore. It's what the hell?
Yeah. Well, she brings it. Oh, and by the way, he basically won. Actually, this is a good plot point to have here, right? Because he basically, so his lecture there was, I've basically won, but I'm going to leave now and I'm going to come back on Tuesday, kind of thing. It's one of those speeches. It's one of those stupid contrivances that's in like the cliche 80s movie. I know I've won. I just killed your queen. I'm going to come back and beat you some more. It's so stupid. It's like, what on earth? Why on earth? Instead of it being like we have to overcome, and then you have to deal with her. Anyway, I don't know. Wow, holy crap, bro. I don't know, man. Let's see. What's this? Link is here for later. Okay, I was on the Flacids AJ last night. Okay, awesome. Oh my gosh, it was the Flacids AJ and Zax. Oh, I can't wait. They're gonna have fun.
Yes, that's right. I apologize. That's correct. Yeah, AJ was on there because AJ started talking about, don't you need some vibranium to build a detector for vibranium? That was AJ's big takeaway. And it's like,
yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Don't you?
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, I don't understand. Because there's no reference to Howard Stark or Ultrons or anything else in the MCU, that she just makes this thing. But you're like, well,
why?
How does she know? How would you know what the settings would be? Let's say if there was, I don't want to say there's not radiation, but whatever it is that the machine would be detecting, you have to have something to build your machine on to detect. And it never comes up. It never comes up. No explanation whatsoever.
See, they keep talking about how women need to get into science, and this is the kind of storytelling that they're giving those women. I just don't get the logic.
I don't understand. I'm going to sidebar for a moment. I don't understand the women art and science thing.
Yeah, because
I've worked in healthcare my whole career. Okay, since got out of school in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
It's 80% women. So who are they polling? It's always
are
been
they
mostly
polling
women.
Anybody?
They just say that we need more women. I'm like, they're all women. Now, there are men in high positions and executives and, like MDs and things like, of course. But a lot of those decisions are like, it's just decisions. It's not that the women are not capable or that there are not women right now. I think the main medical director happens to be a woman. There's been other women, and then before that there was a man, and it's like I don't understand this whole concept of we don't have women. It's like, what are you guys talking about? I don't know the exact breakdown.
How about the astrometrics and navigational programming that was done on the Voyager project? There was a head. She was a lead member of the staff.
Yeah.
Not only was she a lead member, but she put together some of the first image to image GIFs depicting Saturn rotating. That eventually showed that there were spokes within the rings. She was a major person contributing to that field. And this was what, 71, 72? It's like, I just don't even know what they're talking about. There have been women in the field since World War II. Didn't they just produce a movie about a code breaker that was part of a mathematics program that was not only a woman, but was African American? It's like, hello?
So like, what are you talking about then? That's been like,
exactly.
we're talking like 50 years ago. Yeah, I know. Make pole Gator. Yes, I know. It's all right. So
sidebar.
So the problem is with a lot of this stuff in this film, we end up with like just these scenes, these long, tedious scenes of talking, discussing emotions and feelings, and it's just, I just got so bored with some of this stuff. I really did. This is the purple stuff. This is the bracelet thing, and you get into the transfer she's going to become, and then she has to go to her plane.
Why did you say? Oh my God!
And then this is the Killmonger scene that we were talking about. It
would be so hysterical. It's like the ghosts came out of the woodwork and just girl, you shouldn't be here, girl. That would be so. And she could all call them sexist if she wants to. But the truth of the matter is,
M'Baku kind of throws his support behind her just so we can kind of like pretend that. By the way, this guy's got his like. There's only one guy, but he has the plate in his bottom lip thing. But there's just like one guy. It's some weird thing that I'm supposed to like not pay any attention to or supposed to be accept on face value. And little things like that just bother me. Here's M'Baku with the whole gorilla worshipping thing, but they refuse to go like all in. Like he doesn't get like a vibranium costume or anything like that. He literally is just wearing like just nothing. He's all exposed, no armor. You know, all the women have armor at least, and he's got nothing.
And I understand this. Have we gotten to the unique armor part where there's like a specific new armor that we've never been told about before? This blue stuff, this blue armor.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's see here. We're getting
and
near
that's
the
from
end.
Wakanda, right? Isn't that like the Wakanda warriors?
Yeah. They have they call these two special guards because they're losing. This is this big battle scene. This is the Riri suit. You're asking about the Riri suit.
Give me a good screenshot on that one because I have not seen this character at all. God, the Japanese should just sue them flat out. I swear. This is straight out of some Zeon. Zeon Warriors kind of nonsense or something. This is almost robbed right out of several animes.
And this is completely different than her original costume in the comic book, which is very effeminate, right? So she steals the actual Iron Man armor, but then what she makes for herself in the initial thing, it's this really terrible looking cover, by the way, because they have her whole body out, but it's drawn very horizontal, so her feet are just kind of stick. It's just weird. Anyway, so this is like literally Ironheart, right? Heart. She's literally supposed to be like a heart shape. They're just smelling their own farts at this point, right? They just literally think this is what they should do. I don't know. I have no explanation for this. It just looks this bad. She has AI, which is done by Trevor Noah, which is really kind of dumb. So there's the full. Yeah, you're totally right about ripping off anime, like total like Japanese tech type stuff. Maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe they thought, well, we'll switch it so maybe we can appeal to those people because they think we're all that dumb.
Wow.
And he has no problem dealing with her. Look at him, just like he just kind of changes directions just because, like it's not. He just like takes out the ship and throws it. He just kills a whole bunch of people.
Oof.
Yeah. So this is
which is all cool stuff, but it doesn't seem like they've earned any of these moments.
Oh, they definitely haven't earned any moments. So you can see this is the armor that poor M'Baku he gets. Basically, it almost looks wood.
That looks like leather and seashells. How clever!
Yeah. So you're gonna fight vibranium warriors, the Na'vi. This is him taking out the ship because they're losing badly, basically. Let's see here where they show. I'm trying to get you that shot that you're looking for. Oh, there's Dad Bod.
Nice.
That's my role right there, baby. Dad Bod.
Uh-oh.
And that's Namora taking her down in the upper hand. Trying to get to another shot here. Oh, right. Yeah. We're getting there. Yeah. This is her taking the shot to the belly.
Take care of business like me.
I'm not my brother. Namor will beg me for mercy.
Namor will beg me for mercy. Is the sound going through? I don't know if you guys can hear
Yes.
the sound or not. So
I hear the sound.
Okay, Zach, I have a question about the nipples. Are the nipples built into the costumes? Because so like the like Okoye in them, they have nipples.
Yeah.
Clearly have nipples. So,
Yeah.
or do they have really thin costumes? I don't know. That's a good question.
Well,
there are clearly
either
nipples.
way,
Like,
they don't look like breasts. They look like pectoral muscles with nipples on them. Either way.
yeah, they're
None
not.
of these female costumes look like breasts
Right, they don't have bosoms. Yeah, there's no bosom. It's basically just like the pointy parts are sticking out. Like, I mean, are we going Batman and Robin here? Maybe. This is what they consider high tech. Yeah, instead of having a repulsor based on propulsion system, she's using what 2 of the 4 properties of a quadrone. Yeah, I don't know what she's using. Like, nothing makes any sense. So, and feel the power of the moves. Hey, listen, hail the moves. Hashtag moves. Yeah. So, yeah, this is
sorry
just
for the vocab.
You're fine. Here we go. There you go. She pulls a. She gets the spear out. The spear went right through her.
She is so strong. God, what a fabulously strong lead character. Did you see her? She just pulled herself right off of that lance. I mean, God.
Yeah.
She's so.
That was right.
She must have.
I'm not sure they know it's going to work. They just think it's going to work.
Yeah.
So she's standing over him. You know, she's going to be vengeful and mean.
Yeah, just walk it off, sweetheart.
So instead, it's a. Yeah. What's going to happen? We don't know. It's all this nonsense. But she's him. She throws down a sword because it's dramatic to throw down the sword. And then they kind of come out together and they do this whole, Atlantean shout, and then she says Wakanda forever, and everybody just stops fighting. I kid you not.
Yeah,
we're good now.
All about this, man.
Yeah, he said we're good. We're good. She didn't kill me, so we're good. Everybody stand down. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Meanwhile, 1,600 Wakandans in the back are just like, Danny, get up, Danny. You're broken into little pieces because that aircraft just smashed my whole family.
Yeah, half of the people she's supposedly protecting are dead, and she's just like, yeah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Vibranium is chilly.
Gorilla Boy was probably just like, you know what? I rescind my acceptance of you as a sovereign in any manner, shape, or form. I take it back. Wow.
There's a shot of him right here, though. Look, so we have a shot of him. They come around. Well, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There's a good
look,
shot
I don't know
of what we were just talking about, actually.
Well, I closed it. I'm sorry.
No problem.
No, you can't see your nipples in that shot. It was in some of the earlier shots. It was clear.
Yeah, on the bridge, it's very clear.
Yes, it is. Yes. So
I guess it must have been cold in those scenes.
Well, yeah. Zach says vibranium might be chilly. So here's the thing. I don't know how to rank it. I don't know how bad to put it. I really am struggling with, how it's hard when you get down near the bottom. Like, how bad is it? Will I watch it again? Only for moments like this where I can kind of like dissect something, kind of tear into it, make sure people are not thinking that it's good. That's my only reason to rewatch something like this. I've never rewatched Captain Marvel. I can't imagine even. I mean, everything changed for me with Eternal, Steven. Not because I didn't think any of the other way. I literally nodded off. I'm the uber nerd this is made for. I'm literally like the lifetime, kid to adult collector, reader, whatever target audience. And Eternals was so bad at 25 to 30 minutes or so. I went like that. And I was like, holy crap, I'm falling asleep in a Marvel movie.
So
I don't know.
Wrong.
So we're in this sort of phase. The phase ends. I think it's good that this was what it was, because I had blind faith. I don't know if I said that on this stream or not, or a coworker asked me about it too. So sometimes it's hard for me to keep straight on what I say on YouTube versus what happens in the rest of my life. I thought this would be a course change a little bit. Like, I thought they got to make some money. And Ryan Coogler's back, the writer's back. I don't know how they're going to do it. And then I saw the footage, and of course I was all over the Namor thing. I hated it all, whatever. And now it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't even know how you could have hope in all this mess. Oh, Chris is saying they killed T'Challa with a coof. How will Aurora Monroe, Storm, marry T'Challa when the X-Men finally hit? Oh, well, they're not going to. They're not going to.
They're not going to do that. Storm ain't going to need nobody but Storm.
Well, first off, I sure hope that's the direction they go. I'd rather have strong woman Storm than some of the other nonsense, because that. So I don't know if you saw the leak where they're talking about X-Men and wanting to do race and gender swapping type stuff with X-Men, as though they need to say any of that. And it's all because we've all heard all these leaks about Giancarlo Esposito and Denzel Washington being Professor X and Magneto. And those are not X. Those are not. I kid you not. Those were the rumors for a while. We thought that was going to be announced maybe at Comic-Con or D23. I don't think we know if it's really official or not. It's all been rumored stuff. So they could just be testing the waters, testing for leaks and those kinds of things. But I don't think there's not going to be any shock when we get race swaps. When they're going to do it. And the problem is it just disrespects Storm, who hasn't been done properly. And they really disrespect Bishop, who is one of the most kick-butt X-Men of all the ones that were ever created, as well as some of the other minority characters and cool aspects of the X-Men universe. So, yeah, I don't know. I got to be honest, Chris, spoiler alert, I reread the comic book. Not a fan. I just thought it was like, she's hot. It was a cool gimmick to sell the comic books for a while. They don't really have good chemistry together. They go on this little honeymoon tour or whatever. It's all, I'm like, Oh,
that was a recent run?
Yeah, not really. Not really recent.
Well, post-millennium?
I can look up the date for you.
Because, Namor was only into Sue Storm for the longest time. Like, there were several arcs in the John Byrne universe where that's it. He was just trying to get rid of Reed Richards because he was in the way.
Yeah, no, this is a T'Challa and Storm getting married. And Namor married. He has a wife who doesn't make it and that kind of thing. I'm just trying to get the issue numbers of when this was.
That's funny. Sure I totally missed that it was T'Challa. I'm sorry.
Yeah. T'Challa and Storm marry, and it's sort of like it happens during Civil War. So it kind of it's supposed to like. What they do is they kind of tie it in that it kind of gives them a reason to kind of like bring in like the other side to the whole Captain America Iron Man debate. And for me, when I reread it, I'm like, it just to me it felt so gimmicky because it's not. Yeah, 2006. So 2006.
Okay, so yeah, post millennium.
So they go to Doctor Doom. They don't want to play nice with Doctor Doom. They end up going to see Namor. Namor's like, we need you. They're going to listen to you because you're respected. You're T'Challa. You're whatever. Storm kind of calls on the X-Men. They kind of blow her off. It's fine. It's not horrible stuff, but it's just like everyone hyped it up. And in hindsight, I remember the books. I can't tell you how many times I've seen like the graphic novel with that on the cover, thinking, "Oh man, she is so hot. I really should read all that." Yeah. So I don't think there's any chance, Chris, that's the direction they're going. I think I don't even know what to say they're going to do. I actually, to be honest, I'm extremely disappointed that Magneto would be the villain. Like, can we move on? Can we come up with something else? Like, I mean, I know a lot of people may have their issues with the newer X-Men movies, but I enjoyed First Class and something. I like them doing something different. It was okay. I liked it.
Yeah, First Class was
All right, so,
awesome. It was like return to form, as far as I was concerned. It almost obliterates the earlier X-Men movies. It was a great direction for them to go, to kind of retro it with 60s tech.
Yep.
Great idea.
Yep.
It was just a brilliant idea across the board.
And Age of Apocalypse is a massive step back. It was terrible. It was a mess. There's all sorts of issues with it. And
Oscar Isaac, totally wrong.
Yeah, and Days of Future, I don't think anybody could have fixed that mess. So the way they handled the costuming and design, it was just terrible. So, and then of course, Days of Future Past, I thought they tried to redeem it, made it better. It has a lot of really good elements. So there's other things that are just not done well. It's kind of a hodgepodge in between. So that's just my thoughts on it. I haven't rewatched them in a while. That may actually be something that I do. Steven, I want to go back around to something we talked about earlier. Because I think we really do agree, and I want to make sure that, because to me this has all come out, and I really have to credit what are known as the Comics Gate guys for explaining in excruciating detail over several years now. Because I've gone back and caught different streams to make sure I understood some of this stuff. Because some things came to light during certain lawsuits. So obviously the Ditko family has been one of the biggest ones. Obviously, the Schuster Siegel stuff for Superman, of how the families are constantly getting cheated out of money in the stuff that was created. And then for me, there's little pieces along the way, the breadcrumbs. And I'm sure we get something like this with Black Panther. Like I'm going to be curious. So like, is anyone going to have the cojones to ask who the creator is that put Shuri in Black Panther? I have to look and see who that is. I don't remember off the top of my head. And what kind of money they got from that? Because like the guy that did Winter Soldier, he said he got more money paid to him by having the cameo in the movie that he got for the royalties for the character part. And that's so criminal to me.
Wow.
So much of this to me is about getting out of that money, especially from Disney's standpoint. I think this is where some of this stuff comes from. They're only interested in the stuff that they control. This is what happened to the Star Wars side. People finally figured that out, right? They're figuring out, oh, wait, they don't really want to deal with legacy stuff. They only want the stuff that they can control and have all the money from.
Well, I'm sure you remember there was a brief period in time where you could sample all kinds of music into your own, your new music. And then Madonna came along and created basically, what is it, the 10-second or the 7-second rule that, it was like a certain number of notes. And you could get away with sampling that music because they figured out that if it was just under that amount of notes, you couldn't recognize it as a sample of somebody else's music. Anything above that, you had to pay residuals on. So this 25% rule that we now see being joked about in pop culture with Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, all these guys, I think this is the new game plan. I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I know I mentioned a theory that I wanted to bring up that that speaks to something a little bit different about that. And it has to do with the scale of a body of material. I was talking to somebody on a channel. I was talking to somebody. It was a book currently about to be published. And we were discussing copyright issues. He wants to do 5 novels and then release it to the public to do spin-off work using his property. And I said, you better nail down the specifics of all of that before you go handing over the keys, because this whole thing with fan fiction is so exotic and so gigantic that it outweighs the publishers that created the work in the first place. So my theory is that corporations would much rather deal with the fan fiction writers than with the original authors that inspired the fan fiction. And will there come a day where the fan fiction based on an original property has so much more literature written in that world that it outweighs the contribution of the original author.
Okay,
and
so that's
whether or not the
interesting.
corporations are going to try and push that as a narrative in copyright ownership. Because certainly J.K. Rowling's, that's what got her into trouble. The fans took over her property.
Yeah.
That's my theory, is that fan fiction will be considered a body of work in a certain universe, and that may outweigh the author's ownership of the property.
Right, because we're seeing this with the whole, they're almost pushing it in that direction because this is the argument of it's in the comic book, get over it, right? So it's like you make some radical change and everyone has outrage. You know, we spend, decades of our lives attached to something, and then suddenly, Black Captain America, Tim Drake is now gay, all these things happen, and they're like, well, no, it's in the comic book. It's like, okay. So at some point, whatever is allowed to be out there, the cream of the crop's legacy could be fan fiction or something that is unofficial, because that is more interesting than the benign, generic, vanilla product that the studio or the corporation was generating. I can see that to a certain extent, possibly. Whatever's good is going to float to the top. I think there's an expiration date on some of these things that go through peaks and valleys. I found that with Namor, right? Rereading it, talking about 40 years since he was created, but he didn't have 40 years of comic books. Like, there was massive gaps between appearances and different things. I kind of created a little bit of a timeline on my notes, and it's like there's going to be peaks and valleys because he's just not that interesting of a character. He's like Superman plus Aquaman plus bad guy. You know what I mean? Not really. There's no real Namor villains of major significance. So things like that. You know what I mean? It's like those kinds of things. Yeah, I think there could be peaks and valleys. Fan fiction could rise.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
The main reason why I bring it up is a lot of this fan fiction is on a handful of fan fiction sites.
Oh, that's true.
If the fan fiction site is purchased by a current corporate owner, then the partial publication rights to the fan fiction would literally outweigh the original content of the original writer. And how is that going to
lawsuit? Yeah, that'd be an interesting lawsuit too, because if Disney bought your fan fiction site and they want to make a movie, they bought the site, but did they buy your rights to it or not? So yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure every single fan site has got different regulations. But once you go down that rabbit hole, all it's going to take is a couple of $100 million push for there to be open regulation on the subject. Very, very true.
So Pop's Conda forever is a thing now. That's cool. I can live with that. Can we make an all white Pop's face replacement for all the characters? That'd be fun.
Nice.
I'll do that. I'll look at that.
Awesome one brings up the doorbell.
We didn't even cover the drum. Oh my, yeah. Because that happens later when they're flying back.
Do you remember the newscasting montage where in Airplane, in the original Airplane, where there's an African newscaster and he's beating on drums the whole time?
On the drum. Yep. Yeah. It is again. It's one of those cringy moments. They stick in, and you're just kind of like, what is happening? And they just keep moving. They don't talk about it. They don't explain. Nothing comes of it. It's just something that happens. And this movie is so full of those moments where you're sort of like stopped, and you can't stay in the movie and the flow of things. They have these little things that they think they're being clever. So I will say this movie doesn't have a lot of that really bad, cheeky Marvel humor that they kind of been doing lately. They got away from some of that. There's a couple, like there's a scene with Namor talking about the pressure will kill you or whatever, or you can get in a suit. And he does it in like a way, and it's not funny.
Kind of like the colonizer bit that I keep hearing about.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's just
how you doing, colonizer?
Yeah. That was my Yeah, that was just snarky. This was yeah. Anyway,
That's so cringe. I don't care how snarky she is. She can be as cute and beautiful as she wants to, but that kind of snark is just so cringe at this
off-putting.
point.
Yeah, that's the
She's
Catwoman
part of
line.
a global superhero community.
Mm-hmm.
She was trying to mend the brain apparatus of an android. What the heck is she even talking about? You know, it doesn't make sense internally with the universe. It's crazy.
UK was pushing the flag heavy. It's more than against. Okay. Well, I heard that the flag is going to be replacing the US flag on the soccer team thing.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Hey Jacob, how you doing, my friend? Cap was so they all have changed. This is again, they do these little one-off things. And this is where they can get away with trying to say, "Oh, I can have it in the comic book." It's like, oh god. So yeah, because again, we're talking about decades of content. So it is sort of a thing where some of the stuff can happen, right? So Zax was 6 at one time, possibly fan fiction. We'll tell what survives. We'll see. And yes, this is a newscaster Africa thing that you made a comment about. Yeah. Somewhere over the rainbow. Let's see. When I was in Africa in 2010, they were obsessed with American culture. Yeah. No, I think we're seeing this with the Indian cinema. I literally had someone who sent me something here in the last day or so about like, hey, Pops, it's been like a month since you reviewed one of our movies. What's going on? And I'm like, they're all 3 hours long. Part of the problem. Yeah. 2, subtitles. Part of the problem. Can't always get good subtitles. So anyway, Roman is here. Hey brother, how you doing? Everyone's popped for what? No, bro. I'm exhausted now. I've been ranting and raving. Actually, I think I actually have ranted and raved a couple of times. It's been over 2 hours. So I'm pretty pooped to pop. I beat this horse as dead as I can for the most part. I'm sure there's stuff I'm forgetting. I just, like I told you, man, it's sort of like, I didn't have high expectations. And then, of course, the footage and the stuff, I lowered my expectations tremendously. But there's still part of me that thought, you guys do know a lot kind of rides on this, right? The whole black community thinks this is a thing. Like, and then, and then I see these audience scores, and like Gray was talking about, okay, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I think it's crap. I think it's dog crap. That's what I think. It's just dog crap. And I mean, I'm not giving them a nickel, so I don't know how long it'll last. I don't think there's any hope of them changing direction anytime soon. I have so much more hope for the DC side, only because even what they have planned, I know there's issues, especially the Aquaman 2 thing. I got it. I know who she is. Like the Shazam sequel, I'm like, all right, fine. It was just a fun little movie to have another one. Okay, that's fine. Flashpoint, all right, it's a mess. We'll see what happens. Like good
grief, what a mess.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. But I know the dude that's there wants to make money. So at some point, that ship will get straightened out. And I don't know how long that'll take. And God, I am waiting. You talk about a popcorn stream. I'm going to sit here and chew my popcorn when he turns his crosshairs on DC Comics directly. Oh, that'll be a bloodbath day. Oh my God. I'm going to love it. So
I'm not expecting anything. DC has tremendous opportunities that they could take. I've been very, very curious as to why nobody's directly bringing up the concept that the reason why Blade worked was because nobody knew him from anywhere. Most normies didn't even know that there was a black vampire hunter since the mid 60s or late 60s or something. So I think that they were able to get away with a certain amount of, they had a ton of leeway. DC Universe has 100,000 characters like that. They could dip in and just not call it the DC Universe and just present it as a superhero movie, and only the fans would know that it was from DC Comics.
That's true, and they are doing the Blue Beetle is on the list still, so they're doing the Blue Beetle one, which
Plastic Man should be coming, and
that's been talked about a couple of times. I don't see that on the list anytime soon.
But could you imagine a CGI-driven Jim Carrey property called Plastic Man? I mean,
maybe
it's almost built for the thing.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that is possible. I think right now they're so broke. I don't know if you've heard about this or not. I did a stream on it. I don't usually do spontaneous streams like this, but I did it a week or two ago where I did the whole thing about how broke they were. They've gone from paying $43 billion for it all to now being $57 billion in debt. They're basically losing about $1 billion a month.
Yeah.
So right now everything is kind of frozen, I think, except for those 4 movies. And then we'll see how Superman's next. We'll see what's happening with the Batman. We'll see kind of what's next. I'm not sure we know too much. So Roman says, I have no expectations. Marvel saying BP3 is not a for sure. No, it shouldn't be. Why would it be? Why would anyone want to see a Shuri movie? Why? And no, it's dumb. No. Gunn taking over DC. Yeah, I'm okay with this in the sense of he has he's a creative side, there's a business side, and there's direct reporting to Zaslav. So the structure and the incentive structure should yield the goal to make better stuff that makes money. That's a positive for me.
Yeah, and what we've just experienced between DC and Marvel is probably the superhero studio equivalent of the U.S. versus the Soviet Union for the space race.
Maybe
they just destroyed Warner Brothers. Every time they went to make a step, Marvel just got there first. And whether you like it or not, they did multiverse better. They did extra dimensional time travel better. They did Crisis on Infinite Earth better.
Well, look at
DC never
Ultron,
stood a chance.
Right? They did Ultron. They got Ultron through and made it cool enough that Brainiac will look like a knockoff now.
That's right. Just
right.
like
one of the coolest.
John
one
Carter
of the coolest.
Of Mars looks like a knockoff.
It looks like a knockoff. Yes, right.
Because Star Wars got there first, because NASA got there first.
Roman, you're bringing up what this is one of my theories. It goes a little bit with what Steve and I were just talking about when it comes to their motivations. Something like The Question seems like the perfect thing they should license out. Right? This is a perfect type of project that you can get freed from all of the strings of doing PG products and worry about the marketing and worry about action figures as much. Just keep your kind of like the way Marvel has the control of like the Spider-Man toys, but they licensed out, they sold their rights to make movies. The Question and some of these more esoteric characters would be great to license out. That's why I'm shocked about all the confusion about Sandman and John Constantine. All that's like, why do they get themselves so bent up with all this? License it out, cash your checks, sell some toys, sell some books, make your merch. Quit getting caught up in you can't use this character and that character. Work it out. You're dumb by not working it out. It's just so stupid to me.
That voice was right out of what's that cartoon over there? It's something Hill or something like. God, you sounded just like the dad from.
King of the Hill. Work it out over there. Will you just work it out? Warner Brothers is like a man whore in the breed. Yeah. Yes. And DC is no, because well, first off, Roman, I tell you what, man, because I have the DC app now, so I was going through some of the stuff to read. And I've been out of some of the hardcore DC because I was such a hardcore Batman fan, and I knew how much they ruined it all. It's almost like protest vote against not reading it all. They have so many things they've messed up. I've been trying to do this Hawkman stuff, and I'm like, guys, Hawkman, this dude is a mess. They've changed Hawkman. I mean, there's at least 15 different changes, major changes to how they handle Hawkman. I can't handle the DC timelines and crises and universe. It's insane. So this would be a good time for The Question. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of those characters. There's a lot of these odd characters. I actually someone else who actually said the Swamp Thing that they did. I don't know who did it. I didn't look at it close enough. They said it was okay. I'm like, oh, I never watched it. I didn't expect it to be good, so I just ignored it. So yeah, who knows? So, all right, my friend, I think I'm going to wrap here and try to get a nap. Because I have to get up and do more content in the morning, try to record some videos. I'm supposed to be on with Loki in the morning, so if you want to join me, be up early enough for that. So I'll be at Loki's show at 9 in the morning, Eastern time. Tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Eastern time, if any of you are members, so a member-only stream tomorrow. Princess Leia Rose at 6 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. We'll be talking Star Wars.
I'm looking forward to that show.
Yeah, I
I'm
got
very
Princess
curious to
Leia
see where that
Rose.
goes.
Yeah,
Well, just the idea that you're talking spirituality in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, Star Wars and
Very
religion.
cool concepts.
Yeah, so we'll kind of let that roll and see how that kind of plays out a little bit. I'm gonna have some fun with that. So Zach says Swamp Thing was pretty good. Cool. Okay, Zach. Oh yeah, well, I could give that a swing sometime. I got vacation in a week, then I got the Christmas time. I'll be off again, so I have some times, and those are the times where I really like to do a show like that, where it's like I know how many episodes I'm dealing with. I know there's a start and a stop. That's to do it. So. Yeah, so that's good. So yeah, so lots of stuff. What's going on with you, man? What else you got? We got our shows to do and things like that.
Well, tomorrow, what is it? I was supposed to do a PJ Maybe Wednesday stream. We were going to talk about Tank Girl, but that's been pushed off into January because he's got other obligations. But
Okay.
Thursday is my next big show, and I just found out that my Friday show is not happening because the host is got some ankle injuries that he's taking care of, so he's not going to be available for Friday, supposedly.
All right. Well, let me say hail to Roman, who's in the chat, because I'll be on with Roman at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday night. I might be a little late, but I'll be there. We'll be talking villains, doing villains. So I'm like all about that, man. I'm down with that kind of stuff. That's almost the kind of thing where I don't even need notes. I just kind of have to decide. And I hate picking like the easy stuff. I got to try and find something that's just a little off the beaten path. Yeah. That's the nerd stuff for me.
I usually pick a couple of standard gems and then go digging deep into the lore and find some really, really old villains in old science fiction movies, because they're out there, television shows as well.
Sure.
You start thinking about Cylons, you could also talk about Boltar, so. Yeah,
that's good. That's a good take. Oh man, I got to do some. I got to do some revisits to Battlestar. I haven't watched that. I think get my wife to watch Battlestar because she watched it. She's watched them both with me before. I wonder, because we're getting ready. We're in the middle of Community. We're revisiting Community together. Because she likes comedies, but every now and again I can slip in some sci-fi stuff. Especially if she's watched it before, she doesn't have an excuse not to watch it again.
Yeah, Battlestar Galactica, the refresh. That was
she liked it.
A noble pursuit. Of course she did. It was practically built for that audience.
Yeah, she was real good with that, and I liked it pretty well until they had like the planet thing where they're stuck on the planet and stuff, and it become that. That's when I was kind of out. But
the budget
I endured
shifted or something.
Yeah, we got through. So yeah. There's Roman. Yeah, bring on the baddies. Yes.
It's gonna be fun.
All right, folks. Thank you in chat. Let's see what I got. I think I should just do my Prince, because it's got an expiration date, because I'm not going to keep talking about this. So I will just play the same thing I did at the beginning. Give you my Prince Namor reactions. If you want to know how I actually feel on the inside, this is what it was like in my head.
Nice.
For within the Palace Royal, its monarch, Prince Namor I, lies ill.
Who are you? But my enemies call me Namor.
That Namor, I would say he obviously was given that name also by someone in the film.
El niño sin amor. Por eso le dicen Namor. ¿En serio? El niño que creció sin amor.
Translation, Namor now means a boy who grew up without love.
Prince Namor I.
For Namor, the Submariner is back.
Prince Namor I.
But my enemies call me Namor.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!